at this point. This is the Off-Grid Dev Stream. We're hackers playing hacking games. We're going to play some Nite Team 4 tonight, but we're also going to have a quick look at what's new in Off-Grid. And in order to do so, I figured what we'd do is look at the Milliways mod that we were making about a month ago during CCC Camp. McFly, when you're shortening up, do you say CC Camp or CCC Camp? It becomes mildly confusing.
I actually say CCC Camp, and that's wrong and right at the same time, because I actually refer to that point the Chaos Computer Club Camp.
Yeah, there you go.
Which also is CCC, and then you can go with 4 Cs. But there's also the CCCamp, which is the Chaos Communication Camp, which is the camp of the Chaos Computer Club. And if you've ever been to a CCC Chaos Communication Congress, you've possibly found out that we like to play with the C or the C3s. 3 Cs.
So, CCC Camp
therefore
is
also the short forms of the Chaos Communication Camp. Yeah.
Good, because that's what I said. So, cool. Well, what we did was...
That does not mean that you will for surely find a nerd that explains you otherwise.
Well, there's always going to be someone who can tell you you're wrong. So, we rebuilt the Milliways section of this hacker camp, and it was pretty good fun doing it. We streamed about 4 times, is that right? Something like that. And we built it live.
Yeah, something like that.
During camp, with the help of people like McFly, who were there, able to tell us where tents needed shifting to, and give us some reference points and show us some maps, and get people voting on whether the buildings were tall enough or not. So yeah, this all kind of pumps into the mods that we've, or one of the main game that we've been making. This is a mod for. So if you're new to Off-Grid and you're coming off the back of Nite Team 4 stuff, then I will just load up the game so you can see that, and we'll try and walk around this mod. It's just loading. I'll just and can everyone give us thumbs up who's in the chat to let us know that the stream is definitely working for them? It seems to look all right at my end.
Just the maybe the audio.
Yeah, the audio is weird. The video actually is kinda looks okay to me.
Oh.
Yeah, the video seems okay.
What's
We
up
need
with
to
the
send
audio?
him a Winkelkatze.
Chopping in and out quite a bit. We need to send
Yeah.
him a satellite link. That's what we need.
Yeah, it looks. Oh man. Maybe I'm just out of luck tonight.
That could be our connection and not the stream connection for audio. Or are you doing this through desktop?
I'm. In what sense am I doing what through desktop?
Are you doing our call? Is our call?
Hello. It looks like we are back on the stream again. Hello? Well, I think I have the stream, but not Pathfinder or McFly. Hello?
Hi.
Okay, we're on the stream. We have the call. It looks like we have a reasonable bit rate. This might be a possible working solution. I've turned it off of the phone because I think basically 4G is it's never gonna have consistent up speed for us. So I don't think you can say fourth time is a charm.
No.
You can also say 6 times charm, so don't say that.
Okay, well, if it drops again, I think we will delay till next week.
No, I'm having the issue that I need to run away soon anyway, like minus 11 minutes ago.
Well, that's okay. I mean, 30th time's a charm, yeah. Well, McFly, it's been great having you. Thanks for being on the line. Pathfinder and I will soldier on without our European contingent. Well, go on.
I got a better microphone now, so I will see if it works better for me now.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, thanks for popping along, and yeah, we'll continue on. We'll see whether we can get this thing working for the rest of the stream. I looks like I've got the right bit rate to be able to do this without too many complaints. Finally.
Okay.
It is much cleaner.
Then thank you for the evening and the middle more while setting up an internet connection, and talk to you in 1 week.
Yeah. Cool. Catch you soon, McFly.
Bye.
Take it easy.
Bye, Pathfinder.
Take it easy, man.
So, right, I need to. There's McFly has disappeared. So there we go. Okay, finally. Well, let's see whether we can. Oh, actually, was it Steam that killed it each time? Maybe that's the problem. No, Steam is already running. Let's try running a little bit of off-grid. Show people some off-grid, eh?
Yeah, let's try that. I'm not too sure how much gameplay we're going to be able to get to for
Nite Team 4.
Nite Team 4.
Well, I think have you got to go off relatively soon as well?
Not it. It would be within the next hour or so, possibly.
Yeah, we can chip away at it for an hour.
We can do some stuff.
Yeah, I think we can.
We'll do some strenuous testing over the next days, I think.
I think I basically just have to get a better internet connection is what it comes down to. So
Satellites.
Yeah, maybe that might have to be the solution, but yeah, we'll have to look into that. So this is Off Grid. For those of you that haven't checked Off Grid out before, what I wanted to try and do was see whether we can get. Ooh, actually, yeah. We were talking about modding earlier. There's this testing facility level that we've got that modders can mess about in. That's kind of cool. Here we go. So, Off-Grid is basically a sort of third-person stealth hacking game for those of you that are coming across us for the first time. it all kind of revolves around this set of tools that you have down in the left-hand side. They're all apps that you can collect at different times, and they connect to your kind of AR glasses. Oh, hang on, yeah. There's a bug that we introduced. They changed something in the post-processing stack in Unity, and so actually data view doesn't work in this version of the game. So I can't show you data view, but I can show you how to SSH and stuff. So this is the basic kind of hacking that you do in off-grid. You basically look for devices with poorly secured credentials on their SSH ports, and you may be able to collect data that helps you figure out that password, or they may be open-ended and able to be popped with admin or admin password. So here we're just putting the networks that we need on. I guess we should actually have cheated and stolen the door keys, seeing as... Yeah, let's do that quick. Door access, here we go. Start. There we go. Cool. So, as you can see, there's all these different IoT devices around us that we're able to target. So there's some kind of light hub there. I think I can probably turn off some of the lights or change the color of some of the lights in the warehouse here. Light overrides. Light group 1 off, light group 1 on, off. There we go. So yeah, we just turned some lights off in the warehouse, I guess. Oh, that's interesting. There's a bug there to do with focusing on stuff that's making me walk really slow. Well, Off-Grid is an in-development game, so you get to see all the bugs as we go. But yeah, this gives a basic sense of what Off-Grid looks and feels like. What I was going to do was jump into one of the mods that we've been making quickly. So let's see if I can do that. So search for game, hit start. And with any luck, this will load us into... Yes, it has. So Pathfinder, you and I both missed out on CCC camp, but
indeed, yes,
this is us getting our own back. We get to walk about it digitally.
Yeah, we have our own.
Yeah.
Yeah, forever.
And fairly soon, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it set up so that there'll be a few different characters you can pick and walk around as. So we could be Lowry walking around, or Jake, or Mustafa, rather than Joe, or Off-Grid Hero, which I think could be quite fun.
That's pretty good.
So this was like a swimming pool that they made.
In the background, it looks like the brain tent.
Which one?
You know, the sort of the moon crater one.
Yeah, this hexagonally one.
That was, almost looks like the brain tent.
Tour Camp had a big inflatable tent. Is that Tour is in Seattle? Is that right, or Washington?
Yes, it's around that side. Yeah, on the west coast, as far as I remember.
So that's their tent. This one.
Yeah, bit of a swim to get there.
Yeah, a bit of a swim, definitely. Here's the Millerways Dome. It's got disco ball.
Even color coded as well. You've matched the colors to the metal.
For the struts. Yeah. Absolutely. There's
absolute pain to get that made.
What's that? Pain to make it.
Pain to get that made.
Yeah,
and to take it apart is you're going to lose at least one person.
Yeah. You mean lose one of their limbs?
Yeah. It is deadly, that thing.
So this was the EMF camp tent here, they had like a little bar and some beer, so that's been remodeled here. Eventually we'll make this into a hackable beer dispenser, I suppose. That'd be decent.
Yeah, that sounds good. There was an auto drinks maker somewhere as well, if you remember.
Oh, there was a robotic
definitely.
cocktail maker or something. Is that right?
Yeah, it wasn't Milliways. It was its entirely a project in and of itself somewhere else.
Yep. I'm sure we could add that into the mod though. Yeah, definitely.
We can remap the drinks that it makes. That would be pretty good.
Yep. This is the workshop's tent. So you'll be familiar with this kind of setting. Plastic seats and a dark tent and some speakers up front.
Yep.
It's funny. This actually does bring back the feeling of being at various camps. Would you agree?
Yeah. It looks like the stage in one of the talks. Like that visual there looks like the one I watched with. They were talking about corporate anthems. Did you see that? Where they go through the funniest sort of.
No, I didn't see
people
that.
Like Cisco have. Every time there's like a big company meeting or whatever, they've tried to make a little jingle.
Yeah.
For like a company song, and it always dies for being terrible. This person went through the best, their favourite. Who, by the way, for those listening, for things like EMF camp or CCC camp, tour camp, or any event that has some relation to Chaos Computer Club, all of the talks and a lot of the other extra bits that go along with such a camp can be found on YouTube. Yep. All of the talks are open. You can learn a hell of a lot of stuff.
Yes, you can.
Just through watching people talk about what they do. And the thing to search for is media.ccc.de within YouTube, and you'll get all of them out. And they are tagged as per which camp they came from or which event. So do check them out if you want to learn things. Some of the most brand new things that get dropped every year sometimes turn up first in a talk in one of these things, and it takes the world a little while to catch up. So
yeah,
you
can see two off-grid talks, one at EMF and one at SHA as well. I think the EMF one was back in like 2014, 2015 or something. A long time ago.
That would have been right, yeah.
So we also have the kitchen tent here. Most people who've been to Milliways will be familiar with this place because you usually get roped into at least helping out on one meal, peeling potatoes or something like that.
Oh, yes.
I don't know whether you spotted, but we've got the rum tent here as well.
Oh, very good. Yeah, that's right.
Where the lizards hang out. So yeah.
Lots of rum.
Lots. So that is that's a mod basically, but you can contribute to this mod if you want. You can go to the Git repo and pull it yourself, add some models, make some suggestions, move things around on the map. I'll just grab the link quickly. I tell you what, actually, I will put the link to. Oh, Jedi Omen says, I'm not sure if they're on YT, but the 08 Hope events were really cool. That's Hackers on Planet Earth Hope, and that's run by our friends Emmanuel and Kyle over at 2600 magazine. That's have you ever checked? Have you seen any of the Hope videos on YouTube, Path?
I can't say I have, no.
I think they give away the recordings as part of a premium for their radio show. So if you donate to their radio show, you can get like a USB stick full of the last 8 years of talks.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So they maybe keep them offline on purpose. Yeah, it's a pretty good price. I think it's like, if you donate $30, you get 80 hours worth of talks from Hope.
Very nice.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. Jedi Omen says the text obviously a bit dated from 2008 Hope, but even now they like watching some of the very early talks as Anonymous was starting to form. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, Omen, if you fancy posting any of those YouTube links, please do feel free to share. So anyone who's interested in modding off-grid like this, like we've just seen, there's the Millerways CC Camp mod here on wiki.offgridthegame.com. That's the general info about it, and that'll give you a load of information. But I'll also find the GitHub repo. There you go. That's there. Right, well, should we play a bit of Nite Team 4? I reckon I'm up for that. Let's see. Play with the... Cool. Well, so yeah, hopefully that gives people, as I said, a bit of a flavour of what off-grid is about and the sorts of things that modders can do. This is obviously more just a physical space to walk around. It will be fun when people start adding interesting projects, and I mean, there's got to be about 1 million ideas for hackable devices that people could add to this, wouldn't you say, Parth?
Any device. Just think any device. These days, that's very close to the truth. So yeah, if it has circuitry and some small level of microcontroller that you can program in any way, someone is going to put it on the internet.
Yep. I was thinking specifically that, like the Millerways mod itself, there's a lot of inspiration out there for the kind of devices people could mod into the Millerways camp.
Well, everyone has their tablets, don't they? And
Yeah.
Where there are tablets, there are devices people try to interact with on the Wi-Fi via their tablets.
The little badges.
Yeah.
I meant to say badges there, and it came out as badgers. But I'm sure there's some IoT badges out there also.
Well, Boston Dynamics seems to be doing quite a lot of stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
If they turn up in the UK, they would be making badges, though, wouldn't they?
They would be, yeah. Instead of kind of mountain lions,
it would be badges. Fight back in their badger conflict that's going on.
There you go. Right, let's close out of off-grid and let's do some Nite Team 4, I reckon. Well, if I can get to closing out of it. There we go. There we go. Right. So, let's pull that one up. Where is it?
Posted in the Discord that the stream does work and Nite Team 4 is about to begin.
Yep. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I've got to, what I've got to do is get my sign in for Richard Gill.
That's right.
Oh, let's also switch over to the. I like the game view that has less of a stretch effect. Where is that? Playing game. That's the one.
There we go.
go. Oh, hang on, I'm floating. Down a bit. It's better. Cool. Yeah, Richard Gill was our agent name, wasn't it?
That's right.
I've had enough of Netflix, by the way. They've taken hackers off of Netflix again.
Oh, really?
Yep, I know that it's probably the owners of the rights to hackers that have done that rather than Netflix. I'm sure Netflix would rather have all films on them all the time, but there is just no point in having cult classics that are on and off. The whole reason you'd want cult classics is so that you can go back to them anytime, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to make any jokes about cults, but if you were a cult leader who just sort of disappeared for lengths of time, your cult's not going to last, is it?
That's true. Yeah, exactly.
You went on holiday for 3 months a year, so people go, well, what do we do next?
Oh, entering Stinger.
Cult jokes go down. I've found.
Go down well.
No, badly, very badly. Don't generally don't make jokes about cults or any form of organized micropopulation aggression and homicide. It's just not a good area for comedy at all. Doing you a favor if you like those kind of jokes, don't tell them in the workplace. So, as far as I remember, we were somewhere within the
tutorial
latter stages of the academy, yes.
Yeah. I'm just tweeting that we are actually in the stream.
I'm still impressed by the visuals on this as well. Because it's, doing quite a bit of rendering reasonably for the interface you have.
Mm-hmm.
That is a globe spinning there.
It's a spinny globe, that's for sure. It's I haven't realised there's these illustrations in the back as well that are kind of nice.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a bit militaristic, but they're all kind of hand painted, kind of speed painting type things. It's kind of nice.
The paths are manipulated though by your activity. You notice the speed change, so there's quite a bit of processing going on just to provide you with a sort of a fairly nice interface. It's quite good.
Mm-hmm. Right, so I guess if I remember rightly, we go up to that little flashy
green thing.
Exclamation green thing, and into the academy. 80% done. We must be getting close. Man in the middle attack is what we've gotten to.
Okay.
So that's kind of fun. Let's give it a go. Assess certification.
Things are going to get challenging quickly, so just
Gotta watch out for SSL strip on your public Wi-Fi. If you're using public Wi-Fi and it's free, you are the product. If anything is free, VPNs, you are the product. Remember it.
True enough. So it'd be interesting to see how they presented the man in the middle attack, really, won't it? Are they just saying that you're going to be presenting yourself as a trustable network?
I mean, if they are governmental resources people, then they could do whatever they want. I mean, they could use the they could bundle they could give you a C8 bundle, stick it on your machine, and you could be giving them anything you want. Like, this part is going to be a lot different to what the lone individual miscreant would be able to do reasonably.
Mm-hmm.
Because they just turn right to the ISP and go, give us it. And then,
Yeah.
then you're there.
So
But
it
I don't know,
says here.
it depends.
It says here. Just stay calm, follow instructions, try not to screw anything as we dive into signal interception. There's a lot to learn about the act of spying on someone else's communications and networks. So I've created an entire training course around it. But for now, let's just get the basics down, the man-in-the-middle attack strategy. If you perform well here, I'll invite you to my signal intelligence training course and we can get deep into it. And that's it, that's all they've said. So, we've got these incoming transmissions. I forgot about these. We're going
user activity on a network is much
to close that off. Here we go. I've just realised that we've got the off-grid soundtrack playing over the top of the Nite Team 4 soundtrack. Let's just listen to one of them at a time, eh?
Good idea.
So, intercepting user activity on a network is much easier than you think. Our man-in-the-middle module is based on various technologies you may have heard of before, like Ettercap and Wireshark. So, people might have heard the term PCAP around if you've floated in InfoSec circles on Twitter or other social media or whatever else. But that's essentially what they're getting at, really. It's packet capture. Ettercap. Have you used Ettercap before?
Yes, it is a real one. It's not one of the ones they've made up. Ethercap is a very useful little thing.
Yeah. What's its difference to Wireshark's more GUI based and Ettercap is a sort of slimmer terminal tool?
Wireshark is a
I meant GUI
analyzing tool.
Yes.
So Wireshark's primary job is simply to expose a PCAP, so that is a capture of network traffic, in a manner that the human can deal with and perhaps filter on to narrow down and investigate through the network streams, right?
Yep.
Ettercap is expressly a tool for doing man-in-the-middle. So it is entirely different remit.
I see. Okay, I thought Ettercap might be more of a sort of packet capture.
I mean,
like Wireshark.
It is capturing,
yeah.
but it is a different remit. Designed to do the cheeky thing. Been around for quite a while. It stood the test of time.
As many tools do, there's not a lot of need to replace many of the standard tool sets, right? I mean,
I think it's old. It's older than most of my nieces and nephews.
Right. There you go.
Yeah, I think I can't. I'll have to. I don't know if it was pre or post millennium, but it's got to be nearly 20 years old now.
Right. This is in the same kind of ballpark as Hydra.
Yes. Yeah.
So what does it say? All we need for a successful man-in-the-middle attack is an active turbine C2 card connection and a valid victim IP. Okay. I've added Dialogue is VPN in your inventory so you can connect to the network. The man-in-the-middle module is the second icon at the bottom of your screen. Open it and select an ARP poisoning attack. On the left side, choose the following victim IP 192.168.166. On the right side, use the company routers 192.168.1.1. Once you're in, use the URL snapper to see the network activity and wait for an important URL to show up. So, seems relatively straightforward, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it kind of is what we're playing with. I like this is the first stage of playing with these kind of things, right? It can get incredibly convoluted, but
So it says we need a VPN connection. So that means going to our turbine C2. Guards, I've got to try. Oh, there we go. That's where that is.
Initiated.
They said to. What did they say? To use Dialogue, which is some fictitious company, I assume.
Connection completed.
There we go. So we're using a VPN in this instance to get onto this company's network. I assume that's what that. I suppose that each time that you've used the turbine C2, the idea is that it's an implant, so it's just an existing implant that they've given us access to, right?
Yes, on the turbine system, yes.
Yeah.
That was how Hola did it back in the day. I mean, it's pretty much the same premise as that VPN service, except for they got the users to install it willingly.
Mm-hmm.
If you used Hola VPN back in the day, you would have had essentially they resold the service as being, oh, you can watch geolocatory restricted content, something you can only watch in the US, you can watch because you jumped to the US through this VPN. That was their primary focus. Off the back of that, they had a second company, and they were essentially selling access to be able to pipe out through Hola users, Illuminati. So you'd be able to do whatever you wanted through these unwitting Hola VPN connection people. So when they say VPN here, essentially they're meaning a VPN through a set of unwitting targets.
Yep.
I'm sure Hola love this kind of reminder. They're still in business and they're still cheeky, apparently.
So I think I set up this art poisoning man in the middle correctly. It said to use the target as the victim 166, right? And then the router was the company network 11. Is that right? Oh no, then I have to use URL snapper, is that right? There we go.
Module initiated.
Okay, there we go. We apparently, I see. It was waiting until this intranet. Oh, there you go. Intranet Apache 2 config init file. So there we go. That's completed. That's how you man in the middle. Apparently.
Right. Simple enough.
Pretty simple.
Has it explained to you what you've essentially done then with this? Has it sort of told you how it's doing what it's doing?
Not really. It's,
Shall we briefly mention it?
Yeah, by all means.
When you people have heard of DNS. It's not the same as DNS, but the same idea of resolving one bit of data on one layer to another bit of data on another layer. When you're on a network, local network, so your home router, if you were to run Wireshark and look around, you'd see a hell of a lot of messages saying things like, who has IP address, tell other IP address. You're resolving IP addresses to MAC addresses, hardware addresses. And this is done via Address Resolution Protocol, or UP. Now what you do is you broadcast around saying, yes, hello, my MAC address is the router. And everybody then goes, oh, great, so we have to go through you. And they send you all of their packets. You then forward them through you to the router, to the rest of the internet. And that's how you're in the middle of that connection. So you broadcast saying this IP address is this MAC address.
Yep.
That's you, and you take all of their gear. So that's what we've just done, and that is the most basic premise of what Eticat actually does in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
So, lots of things you can do to try and prevent this happening, but it is still quite a usable technique, depending on what kind of infrastructure you're targeting, as in where you might be when you're trying to do this.
So it looks like they're going to go into a little bit more depth, or a second phase of this stuff, now, interestingly. There is, we were doing an art poisoning attack before, and that was for essentially, there's this then sort of additional tool called URL Snapper where you could look for URLs that were being passed over you while you're man in the middle. And it looks like this time we're going to use LLMNR poisoning to intercept password hashes. So the victim is 11144 this time. And then we'll intercept the password hash using the packet sniffer, apparently. So we hit man in the middle. 144 was meant to be our. I'll report the connection. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, use LLMNR, scan for hosts. Oh, hang on. I thought it was 144 that we were meant to be looking for. Let's see whether it was 188. Wasn't failed. Invalid routing config. Do you remember what I said a second ago that the target that they asked us to look at was?
No.
Let me.
Not sure.
Oh, okay.
LLMNR, you would scan around the place and you would find all of them though. Like it's another resolution thing we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's what they are wanting you expressly to do with it, but
looks like we're supposed to be doing something else first. Anyway, it says that we need to.
Okay.
Now that we're on the Dialog support, we have to hack into intranetdialog.net. So. I guess it depends on how they want us to do that, really.
We could use the, I don't know, tried and tested. I can't remember what the, do they call it fingerprint in this game? Like, this is the only difficulty I have is that I'm trying to remember the names that they've used for these things. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. I think it was fingerprint, yeah. That's...
we should check our resident pros who might be telling us any hints. Speaking of which, Jedi Omen is asking us whether or not Lycrad is available. Got to make sure somebody is. Lobster Patrol.
We don't need lobster.
Jedi Omen, I cannot tell you. I haven't seen any. I was in the far southwestern region of the UK not long ago, and there was a lobster hatchery, and this was about 4 or 5 days after I had had lobsters thrown at me by Lycrad. And were it to be open, I was so ready to take a picture of a load of lobsters to throw at him, but it was unfortunately not open at the time. Tragic.
So I think you're right. I think it was the host fingerprint tool.
That's what's giving us ports, at least.
Yeah.
Because fingerprint is the analog for netcat. Not netcat, what am I saying? Nmap. That they put in.
It's getting to that time of night where I can't touch type.
As long as we have our active connection to that network, then we should be able to still see that host, right? Like we haven't exited out something, have we?
No, we're still on that VPN turbine type thing. So let's see what happens here. Okay, yeah. So
Okay.
it says that the Akami technology is vulnerable. So now we have
Oh,
to
Akamai did it. Is it AKAMI
AI
or AI? Yeah. Akamai. Yeah. Okay.
on port
Pretty good.
443. So I guess we need to
Are they saying
search exploit
actual
DB now.
Akamai?
I guess so.
Information gathering module.
That's pretty big news if you're breaking into Akamai stuff.
Well, let's have a look at what the CVE is, I guess.
Well, it might be some kind of proxy bouncing thing, but Akamai is a major CDN.
Yep. So it says here CVE 2008-1106. The management interface in the Akamai client allows remote attackers to bypass auth through TCP over IP via an HTTP request that contains 1. No referrer header, or 2. A spoofed referrer header that matches an approved domain, which allows
really?
remote attackers to conduct cross-site request forgery. Wasn't there a recent
Excellent.
fairly big cross-site request forgery bug
Oh,
last week or two?
Every fortnight there's a CSRF somewhere. I mean, again, I wouldn't be able to pull anything specific out because every 2 weeks there's at least one CSRF that comes into our purview. Useful. So we've got something that's then gonna just throw itself at that.
Well, apparently. So, I mean, it says it's an HTTP request that with no referrer header. So, I guess this is where we have to go and use the while connected. Okay. Yeah. So now we have to use that kind of Cobalt style tool, Fox Acid.
Yeah.
Fox
Yeah.
Acid server connection.
I mean,
So-
I could send you some code, but I don't think we can throw Python in there, can we?
No, I don't think so. I shouldn't have closed the DB down.
Oh wait, what do you need?
I'm trying to remember what it said that we needed to do with that.
Module initiated.
What, the thing you just described? I can tell you what you said.
Yeah.
You mean the exploit?
Yeah.
Yeah, CV 2008-1106, right?
Yeah.
And it was the no or spoofed referrer for a CSRF.
That was the
I don't
one.
know what the
It said
I don't
it was
know what
on
the,
TCP over IP.
yeah.
Exploit to use content spoofing. Right. Content spoofing is what I was trying to get to the bottom of.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
Content spoofing, there we go.
send it bogus referrer.
Rootkit. Does it matter what rootkit we use? Assassin?
Well, it depends how much information they gave you about the host. So when you hit it, it said Akamai thing on 443, but I mean, I can't pick up the resolution. It would only differ in reality depending on which OS you were hitting and which version of that OS you might be hitting. You know what I mean? Windows versus some kind of CentOS Linux thing sitting somewhere. But doesn't really say, does it?
No.
If you did want to know this kind of information, to throw a callback to Wireshark, get Wireshark running when you touch a host, and sometimes you'll get header values back where it tells you essentially enough information to tell you which OS it's in. it sits on. But if you don't have that information, you would check the TTL, and if the TTL value you have in the response is above 64, darted at 128, and that's Windows. And if it's 64 or, well, it won't be 64. If it's below 64, normally it's darted at 60, and that's a Linux host. So that is a bit of recon info for you. So Wireshark is dead useful for these things.
There you go.
The TTL that you're looking for. That's for you to go off and learn about.
Well, it looks like this is working. There
Good.
we go. We're onto their intranet. So we might as well jump
We
off
have
the
to
dial
think.
of support onto their intranet.
And then we can LLM&R them.
Yeah, so man in the middle. Oh, hang on. What did they say to do? Select 11144 as the victim. There we go. IT. Does it say who to select as the attackers? No. What does that? Oh yeah, 111. Right. Start listening and run the packet sniffer. Looks like that's working. Wait for a password hash to appear. Save the hash to your notepad for future use. Oh, there we go. I can't remember. Was it Control N for notepad? It surely was. It was. There we go. So that's that. That's this one complete as well now.
Excellent.
The learning curve for the certification is.
So it says the learning curve for the certification is rather steep, so grab your cleats and let's get climbing. We're going to combine 3 modules: the man in the middle, the Active Directory, and the password attack. You'll be fine, just don't look down. First, intercept a password hash. It will give you the IPs. I will give you the IPs again. For the victim, it's 192.168.11144, the one we just used, and for the router, it's 192.168.111. After that, get in their Active Directory and look for their password policies. As the final step, launch the password attack module using the hash mode. Fill out the company password policies and crack the password. See you at peak, and good luck. So this will be quite a lot more complex because it's talking about some of the stuff that we haven't used yet on the password attack. That was like, yeah, had to fill out different parameters.
That's right.
To try and speed up the cracking speed, didn't you? Yeah, that was kind of cool. So that'll be interesting to do. Right, just a sec. Right. Continue training, I guess. So, connect Dialog's intranet and find the network's Active Directory. So, we're on their intranet, I believe, based on the turbine. Yep, we are.
C2 registry. Initiated.
So, find the network's active directory. There was a tool that was specifically to do with finding active directory stuff, wasn't there? WMI scanner? That was the Windows.
That's, well, yes, that will do. That'll allow you to look at things that are connected and associated to that active directory, or at the very least that machine.
NetScan will run a scan within the internal network you're currently accessing. Well, that'll give us our best bet.
Yeah, that'll help.
So, ERP dialog_AD. So that's probably something, surely. Connect to the Active Directory and find dialog's password policies. So, I guess that's the file browser that we used before?
Yes, have we already got access to it? We might need to actually break into it, right?
Yeah, maybe. So, that, yeah, it says something similar to that. It says target address not found in the file browser.
Yeah. Fingerprint again? Unless there was something else that we could use. Well, you had NetScan. I wonder what their WMI scanner is going to give you against that. I don't know what context they give you to try and use it. So
yeah.
Information gathering module initiated.
Well, I don't see how fingerprint is going to necessarily help us.
no, mate. Well, no. I mean, if you haven't got a proper
there is a tool
host.
called Active Directory. We could just see what that is, but they haven't told us how to use that before.
Information
Oh, that looks exactly like the file browser, but for Active Directories. Yep, and we're in. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I'm sure we did.
Yeah?
Before. Yeah, I thought we had. It sounded right somehow. Planting that in rather than the full address. I'm sure we did that. But anyway, we're there now.
We are. So, policies. Password policies.
Okay. You probably need to write these bits down.
Yeah, so. Oh, that's sad. They're all locked files that you can't read anything about. Requirements equals number, requirements equals symbol, encryption equals NTLM.
NTLM?
Yeah.
Good lord. Right, okay. That is not very... Well, they're not... Their policy is not very good.
What does NTLM stand for, Path?
And, well, NTLM hashes are what we're talking about there. I couldn't give you the actual acronym. But the good thing is, in the right context, yes, well, if you're lucky, you might simply be able to pass the hash, which is you don't need to know what's inside it. You can just simply forward that on and the mechanism is checking the hash you've sent to the hash that they have stored somewhere else.
So it says to use the password attack module now. Now that we have those policies.
So we're supposed to crack this, right?
Well, I believe
This
so.
But in reality, some things are literally will accept the hash because they will compare something instead of having the password, you would have, as I mentioned, passing the hash is literally giving it a hash, and it checks the hash you've given it without you knowing the password to the hash of the password it has, and it goes, yeah, that hash is that hash. So you may not need to crack it in reality, is the thing. Sometimes you get lucky there. But yeah, otherwise, we've got that information. Is there anything else from that password policy?
No. I mean,
number, symbol, and NTLM. That was it.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I've just given it the hash, so it's saying we can use the John the Ripper and or the Rock U.
John's always the classic.
Yeah, we can use them in conjunction actually. Oh, here we go. At least one uppercase, at least one number, at least one symbol. At least one number and at least one symbol were the rules, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Minimum characters, max characters.
Did they say that?
No, I think that's it. So let's try it just on John the Ripper, see how he gets on.
Password successfully compromised.
So that gave us the password that worked. So I guess we should copy that. Write in our notes. Right, so that's that objective complete now, apparently.
Right. We did the mega one.
We did. So that I can't even remember what the last steps were there. Like we just
we
used
had
the
to
password attack thing. We didn't have to give it a directory. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Right. What percentage are we at now?
Just opening it up. Let's see. It's not giving us a percentage. That's rubbish. Yeah, I don't know. Nope. 87%. So we're getting there. Right, aircraft is the next module. This should be interesting.
Okay, not too shabby. See, as long as you keep a level head, you can get through a new challenge.
Okay, not too shabby. See, as long as you keep a level head, you can get through a challenge or through new challenges. So keep it up. Let's not rest on our laurels quite yet. Pardon me. Still more work to be done. We'll continue with signal interception and Wi-Fi networks, and then move on to other types of intrusion using the wireless devices. Ready when you are. Okay, so you ready? Here we go.
Time to go wireless. Enough with all these tangled cables.
It's time to go wireless. Enough with all these tangled cables. Let's connect to the Wi-Fi. The module you'll want to use is called Aircrack, located in your information gathering menu. The first thing we'll do is simply scan the area and download Wi-Fi hotspot log files. Start with the command line aero dump, which gives you all active Wi-Fi signatures accessible from the VPN location. The handshake command runs a sniffer on all network activity, cracks it, and downloads the latest activity. Well, I'm not really sure what all that information was about there.
Well, so if you're running out, if you've got your connection open and you run their version of Aircrack, I mean, you dump stuff out with air dump, as they said, which is true to form. That is what you normally do.
Yep.
And then Aircrack, you would run over the top of that.
Yep. So, I mean, British politics has just turned a corner and gotten weirder and weirder, but I keep seeing signs that are saying about, I'll leave that. It's a complete divergence from what I'm supposed to be focusing on. Right. Connect Dialogist support turbine C2. So back to the C2 stuff. That was support there, so we connect to that. Open up the information gathering. Menu, yeah. Oh yeah, and there's Aircrack. Here we go. So, it says, welcome to Aircrack. This module is designed to scan nearby Wi-Fi hotspots and crack their security. Once the Wi-Fi network has been compromised, Aircrack downloads all log files to identify Wi-Fi devices, cell phones, laptops, etc. that have been detected in the vicinity for the past couple of days. Downloading log files from multiple Wi-Fi hotspots can help gain comprehensive intel on the net traffic in the area. Example, AeroDump will scan and collect Wi-Fi hotspots near the compromised computer. So, I mean, they're saying that this support computer that we've got, that we're running through, it will use Aircrack to try and scan other devices around it?
Yeah, so what really what's happening is you don't use Aircrack for that part of it. They've mentioned AeroDump to you, right?
Yeah.
So Aircrack's the name for the suite, but that's actually the cracking part. So imagine that's like the wireless key.
Yeah, it's used for
pass
web
key.
Web cracking and stuff, right?
Yeah, but you're running AeroDump, and that essentially is the same as running a packet sniffer.
Yep.
Collect stuff, and then once you've done that, you have to take what you've collected and you crack it with Aircrack itself. So if you use AeroDump once you've got your connection,
yep,
after the fact, and with whatever flags they've told you have available appropriate to this, then it'll do the deal for you. You don't have to use the place into monitor mode, because that's actually one of the things that stops most people from being able to do it, because their wireless card doesn't accept, because it's got some funky config or proprietary drivers or some garbage like that. So a lot of people end up buying their own cards after the fact. Alpha, I think, is very popular with the cool kids who have to do Wi-Fi stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we didn't have to do the most arduous part, which is getting your damn Broadcom chipset to work properly in monitor mode. Once you've done that, AeroDump, and then Aircrack.
Yep, so we've AeroDumped, and now we have the MAC address for Dialog internal versus Dialog guest. So I guess that's what we want to do. We want to use. And then
those
says,
are net. You're talking about now, right? Not hosts. These are networks.
They're BSS IDs, so that
yes,
they're devices themselves. Oh yeah, they are networks. Yeah.
Yeah, they're broadcast names.
Yeah. Okay. So it basically says
So you-
run handshake and then that MAC address. What's that, Path?
No.
Oh, I thought I heard you.
Carry on as they had instructed. Yeah.
So the handshake is trying to crack the passcode. Download.
Well, I don't know at this
data.
part. Yeah. At this point, it sounds like it's trying to actually collect the handshake in progress, and that's what gives you something you can then try and brute after the fact.
Right.
That's what that is.
Well, it sort of combines those two. It sounds like it intercepts the handshake and then allows that to be what gets you in, and that's all one action.
Oh, we've got some chatter going on. So look, Demon has turned up. Good evening,
Nice.
Demon.
Hello, Demon.
Yeah. If hash is equal to stored hash, yeah, we would. Yeah, we missed this, but yeah, we're talking. Going back to the hash stuff, yeah. It's the hash. Fun times.
Don't know whether we've got a deauth command here. It doesn't look like they've mentioned anything similar. Run help commands display a detailed explanation of each of these commands. Let's try.
Well,
that.
they might have a deauth, but we don't necessarily need that, because what they've nicely done is they've just given us a way to say, "Hey, grab handshake."
Yeah. There is error dump, handshake, exit, purge, so it's not a huge amount.
Earlier on, Demon, we had a moment where we had to go through ARP poisoning, and I forgot to mention, but if you're talking about deauth spam, the most fun thing to do at the end of playing around with ARP is to then not set it back, or otherwise spoof a secondary set of broadcast, so that everything tries to point to a router that doesn't exist. And that's that network done until they've reset the router. Do the same. You can do some of these kind of shenanigans. You set a deauth repeater on as soon as people connect back. I mean, it depends what you want to do. You can have fun. Yeah, ARP drop. You can have a lot of fun without actually having to break into the whole network. It depends on what you're trying to do. You know what I mean? Stop people in cafe from using Facebook. Does not require network passwords.
Just checking on our people who've taken part in the challenge for the key.
Yeah, again, mostly Demon. It has been that they've added the realism and they've taken away the hours of pain at various points people end up dealing with, because your chipset's on the brink and you can't work it out, because the error you're seeing also happens to match an error people find with a certain kernel update. So you're messing around with the kernel for 2 days, and it turns out that it's just your wireless chip is about to die. Yeah, that was a point of anger about 6 months ago. Touche to Jedi Omen. He goes, lol, well, you say that. You guys have been taking hours on some things here.
Oh, that's
yes,
partly,
indeed.
Yes. Well, it's partly because I'm trying to make sure that I get this challenge, all the people who've entered into the challenge for the keys lined up properly, so I don't let any of you down. So partly apologies there that we're mildly sort of distracted, taking ages. So I've completed this certification. I just need to click complete.
There we go.
Right.
When you triangulate
Demon says, then sit in grub for 8 days. That is correct. If you haven't manually initialized from grub or grub rescue before, you don't know Linux.
Right, so
Jedi Omen gives us a reprise here and says, these chats are what makes it. Well, I'm glad someone is entertained. Indeed.
So, next up is phase 2 of this. When you triangulate the data from multiple Wi-Fi networks, you get a data set that can help you identify a target's activity. When they came to the office, when they leave, etc. Using X-Keyscore, scan ID and records for Dialog employee Wayne Spalder, download all the Wi-Fi data in Aircrack and use Wayne's schedule to find a matching pattern. Every time Wayne's cell phone scanned a Wi-Fi network, it left a signature at the same time and date Wayne was in the vicinity. Even if your cell phone doesn't connect to a network, just having it open and scanning the area for valid Wi-Fi is enough to be tracked. We will use that to find Wayne's phone and access it. Scary, right? Makes you wish you still had a pager. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? I think for me, kind of, the use of the term aircrack for that suite has slightly thrown me off, because I always think of kind of war driving when I think of aircrack.
Right.
Which is very...
Well, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Really, it's one thing you can do. Like it's a whole suite of stuff that allows you to do that thing. Jump into network. So, depends what you're trying to do for your little war driving, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it sort of reminds me of, it makes me think of a tool that you need to be next to the Wi-Fi network that you're going to try and bust into, rather than what they had us do here, which was sort of more of just a networking tool in general, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, its specific purpose is to break in and jump on, and then once you're doing that, you can do extra things after the fact. Sort of post-compromise, you can do extra things, but they haven't put that whole thing in there, it doesn't seem. They're right on the money with the whole Wi-Fi is very noisy thing. If you're wandering around, make sure you're not leaving your Wi-Fi on once you're left your house on your phone.
Yep.
Because it's so easy to track people doing this.
Best bet is get a little NFC badge and program it so that you can tap your phone against it as you leave the house and get it to turn off Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and whatever else as you leave the house, and you have one that turns it all back on again when you get in as well.
That is a fun project idea. That is pretty good.
Yeah, it's not a bad little project.
That is really good. Yeah, I'm gonna just put my NFC device over yours though. When I come to visit, I'm just gonna just tap it on. We'll be fine.
Right. Demon says they're using it like Nmap.
Yeah, sort of. They are kind of doing it that way, but
well, they're sort of
if you remember, they're trying to keep it sane and fluid for people who are maybe for the first time looking at this kind of stuff, right? Because out there, if these topics are usually so nebulous that you go, well, I have to learn this entire thing over here, and then I have to learn this entire thing over there.
Yeah.
And they are quite separate in their nuances, mostly because you're dealing with separate layers that, the technologies are significantly different, and a lot of people get overwhelmed, and there's always like one topic where people go, oh, I should know that one, and I've never looked into it, and it's just a whole extra set of things. With this, you're going through the process and you're kind of learning a framework of how to approach a problem, kind of regardless to the actual differences underneath. So that's why this is kind of better than real life, and also it's legal.
So I was wondering how they were going to tie this all together, but basically now we have a file that is Wayne's schedule here, which gives us his kind of times in and out of his house. Monday, it's basically 10 to 6 most days, apart from Thursdays 11 till 7. And so,
oh yeah, what's happening on Thursday?
Well, I guess we're going to find out, because next up,
Happy hour somewhere.
yeah, maybe on a Wednesday. You mean a little bit of a headache the next morning? So find the phone. Cheers. So we're going back to aircraft again.
Information gathering module initiated.
Okay. Maybe we're not on the right network for this. Oh yeah, we're still on dialogue, internal dialogue guest. So I need to go back to dialogue support. No, we're on dialogue support. Okay. This is strange. While connected to dialogue support, find the phone that matches the schedule using aircrack. I can't remember what the tools were for.
Hang on. Find it using aircrack.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if we just run the tools as they've essentially prompted, it'll do the thing whether it makes sense or not, right?
Well, I mean, it was networks rather than.
Yeah, it is, but there are some sort of sub-tools you can do some interesting things with, but not really what they've said here. I don't, as far as I remember. But then, I don't know. If they say to use aircraft, and we just run the thing.
Yeah, true enough. I mean,
see what happens.
Well, I just don't really know what it wants us to run on aircraft.
So, how many tools were there that they actually bundled within the aircraft that we had here?
Let me go to the man page for that. Literally, aerodump, handshake, exit, and purge. Does handshake listen for stuff? Handshake, I need to have.
No, aerodump listens.
MAC address. Oh, aerodump.
And it looks like they're kind of letting you, once you're all on the network, I think they're dual using aerodump here as just a generic sniffer.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine. Like, it does do that. It will dump out network stuff to PCAP format. That's
no data available. Please crack nearby wireless stations to build the database. So, okay. I swear this is what we've done already. Maybe I jumped the gun again, which seems to happen a little bit too often playing this game. Right. Well, let's try handshaking both of these.
Yeah, so if we have to do the same thing we did before, yeah, we'll just have to do that. Air dump gives us the thing. We've already done air dump. Handshake does the against the network, and then on there, maybe running it again will give us the thing. Strange though.
Download successful. Session database updated. Refreshing grasp. Oh, right, yes. I've just not been looking at what this graph below is properly. So this graph is someone's schedule.
Oh.
This is interesting.
See.
Okay, and these are different MAC addresses. So what we want to look for is what times these have been picked up. So 8 a.m. there's a BlackBerry on Tuesday. No, Tuesday there's a Sony phone. Saturday there's a BlackBerry. What time did he came into work at 8 and left at? No, he was
Well, you
10.
said-
He was
you
10,
said
10
10.
till 6. Yeah.
Except for Thursdays.
Well, there's two different ones there. FD. Yeah, in 11. FD. Okay, so I think we know what. That's his device here. Now here we go, and it opened up the intrusion module automatically for us. There we go.
That's
so
nice.
that's it. That's kind of cool. So I quite like that little kind of graph actually now. So that makes more sense as to what you're doing with Aero
Yeah.
Dump then. Sorry, handshake. The handshake is actually then giving us a load of data on when there have been handshakes between any given device and that network you're on.
Yeah.
And then it gives you a map of that data.
Essentially, that's what they've done. They've got logs from. Must have jumped some logs from somewhere.
Yeah. So Jedi Owen says, BlackBerry, there's a device that vanished into the ether.
Some of our past modules. Inspect his
I've got one somewhere. They tried to give me one for work and then decided I didn't need a phone because I wasn't on call anymore, and decided they didn't want the BlackBerry back. So it's just, I mean, if
There you go.
it might be interesting because there's still a ton of people you see wandering around with them. It would be a great little remote implant that you would just sort of leave generically around an office.
See if anyone picks it up and takes it home. So, what does this say? You're in, well done. Let's take a break and just review some of our past modules. Inspect his cell phone for any clues that could be used to gain access to his account. Wayne is at the office right now. Since we compromised his phone, you can use it to infiltrate the Dialog network. In the cell phone interface, you have a hotspot connection. This works the same as Turbine C2 cars, just click on it to activate it. Hidden a test file somewhere for you to find. Good luck. Okay. So access the phone with the vendor Google and connect to its hotspot.
Network intrusion module initiated.
So what do they say? Access the phone and connect to its hotspots. There's a settings button. Oh, there we go. Personal hotspot. By activating personal hotspot, the phone CID backdoor module can establish a temporary connection between the smartphone and the Stinger OS. That will act as VPN remote access.
Right.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so that means you can jump to it with file browser.
Let's just click on the phone's notes first. Certification information. Hello agent, here are the credentials for your next task. Okay, so we got some creds. Note, the only way to access this temporary server is through this phone. Oh, it's made this non-copyable again.
Okay.
Alright,
Well, tell me what it is.
I can write it down here in the notepad on the thing, I suppose, just as easily. So its URL is TEMP 0451.
Tango Echo Mike or November?
Mike.
Yeah.
0451. Where's that gone? Oh, I lodged it there. Oh. Pardon me, sorry about the yawns. User wasp.
Wasn't that the
Password.
name of the character, the hacker alias of the character, girl with the dragon tattoo? Wasn't her name Wasp?
Don't know.
Is that an intended reference, maybe? I don't
Would
know.
have thought there might be.
They seem-
Yeah.
They seem to be quite good at their references. I'm pretty sure she was Wasp. I can't remember.
That is definitely something Google could confirm for us.
Yeah.
So that's that stuff.
I told you.
mate.
Or anything useful.
What's that?
Told you I don't remember anything useful.
Well, does this classify as useful? It would be useful right now, I suppose.
In a movie trivia quiz, it might be useful. Hopefully the question comes up in the future.
I think it might come up fairly soon.
It is Wasp. It is Wasp. I don't know whether they've intended that, but whatever.
I can't find it on the wiki saying what her handle is. Anyway. But right, connect to file browser now and use the information found in the notes. Okay.
I think we've done quite well given the engine trouble at the start.
Yeah. Yeah, apologies for everyone who was here at the beginning of the stream. We had some issues, that's for sure. There we go, so we're on to that. Wasp, click here, download me, cert complete. There we go.
WinRAR.
Absolutely win well. Alright, I'm gonna just turn. That's better. Right, so back to certification. So that's that one complete as well. So the question is, do we think we can finish the last module?
We can have a go. It depends. If they turn up and go, you will now use all that you have learned, and it's a good hour thing. We might get through it, maybe, but we'll see.
So there's news stream live. Let's see what that says.
You made it.
You made it. Final step here, Agent. I doubt Dylan will say so, but I bet he's mighty proud of you right now. So let's show him what you're made of with a full simulation scenario. There you go. We used this before in the early test phase of the Stinger OS, and it stumped a lot of good agents, but I doubt you'll have the same difficulties. So prove me right and earn your network intrusion certification. Oh, and when it's over, do yourself a favour and check on the bounties. Our partner agencies are always eager to work with qualified agents like you. Well, that's interesting. A couple of people have talked about the bounties before and said
But outside some
said that the bounties would be a better thing for us to stream and still have our bantery chats over the top of, because the main missions are quite hard to follow. They're more kind of
You have
things.
you have to be in the zone and follow the things and call back rather than.
Yeah.
Bounty sounds like a more CTF type thing, segmented.
Yeah, I think they're kind of more kind of isolated cases that you can go and play around with a few of the tools and have a laugh with.
We should see what people. Think. Like,
Yep.
we could allow that. We could enable democracy here.
Demon said I might get and stream this game also. Well, Demon, you could get and stream this game by entering the. It's a good drop off for me to say. You could enter the competition to win a key for it right now. So basically, what were the steps? Go to Twitter, follow the Off Grid account. I think you do already. Retweet the pinned tweet, which is something like 4 ways to help Off Grid or something like that. Wishlist Off Grid if you haven't already, and then jump in the Discord and ping your handle that you've done that with to Dev Team so that we can check that you've done all the above. But yeah, if you want a reminder of those steps, you can also go to the Hack the Planet channel and look at the pinned messages, and there's an explanation there. So yeah, have a go at that. See whether you can follow along, and you'll be entered in. And then at the end of the stream, Path, you and I will have to work out how we want to randomize the entrants to see who gets picked. Really?
Sound like Dev random is required somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, what we could do after this one is we could put a small coding challenge out there for the next time that would allow us to, because we've got a few keys here, right? Once we've had some ideas about what we're going to do with the rest of them. I think a coding challenge could be something in there.
Yep. Ooh, we could even tie things together by getting people to build some modules for Darth Vegas. Maybe one that is a random selector for further giveaways.
Yeah.
That could happen. A little Python challenge, wouldn't it?
Yeah, hopefully not too soon. Sorry, not too far away.
Yeah.
He'll be alive. So.
Yep.
The simplest functions you could ever want to make in Python can be imported into the future Discord bot for Off Grid, which is hopefully soon to come back.
Yeah.
Alive. The Adventures bot, if you like, Demon, which has been repurposed now, brought back from the grave, is going to serve Discord instead.
So yeah, we're leaving it in air quotes, are we? Adventures there.
Yes, adventures and weather experiments. Yes, heavily. He's calmed down a lot now in his old age. He doesn't do it. But his last iteration was called Darth Vegas also. So one or two out there might know. Around the place might know
where that's from.
Yeah.
Demon says I make Discord bots also, no JS ones.
I'm not entertaining that.
Number DOS says I'm not great at programming or security stuff, but I'll give it my best shot. That's cool. Well, yeah, we'll be there on the Discord to help people who are interested in getting into writing a bit of Python to do it as well. So if Number DOS, if you're interested, we can step you through how to make a module. That's kind of the point of it as well, isn't it, Path? Kind of a resource in and of itself.
Yeah. So essentially, you'd learn a few concepts about how to put things together generally, as well as actually creating something. But the purpose of this is that if you can think of something you want the bot to do in the channel, the framework is built so that all you would have to do is make a very simple single function, and the framework around these functions does the heavy lifting for you. You'd have to just learn about what a framework actually is instead of it just being a word people run around. And all of this you have to learn in order to get your function to work properly. But it's the most simple things you'd have to write to get your function into our bot. So it would be a good primer. Like you could, I think the simplest thing that I have going is the XKCD one. And I think that's 2 lines. The actual part of the code that goes and does that. There's 2 lines in it.
Yep.
And the rest of it is sort of carried by the actual bot code itself outside of what you're making. So it's supposed to be a very easy learning tool, and you get an impact by having your, once reviewed functions actually serving the Discord.
Yeah. I think that's a good challenge. So
it could be. Using function. How about that? If we had maybe if we had a load of submissions, then the people in the Discord would be able to vote for the function they think should win the thing. But yeah, I have gone on enough about the bot now.
Demon said, reviews, unhappy face. It's not like a code review. We're not going to sit you down and berate you for your syntax.
Likewise, am I not going to accept any random base 64 blobs sat in code that are just going to be arbitrarily executed? That won't happen. I think that's what he was alluding to.
I see. Okay, sounds good, says NumberDOS. So something like when Discord user says hello, print dick butt JPEG, lol. Yeah?
Yeah, could do that. Easy enough, really. We've had another idea for
Josh
printing
says,
images.
We have lint for that. Sorry, Path, what were you saying?
We've had one idea for images that could be posted into Hack the Planet, but in order to hear more about that, you'll have to see when the bot wakes up and lives again.
Yep. Yeah.
It will be in Hack the Planet, and that is a key reason why you might be interested in the images this bot produces.
Yeah, I think we've got some people in the chat who are interested and excited by the idea of the bot, which is nice.
Good.
So back to this challenge. Agent What's His McFace says, Dylan, that's his name. I'm going to be your wingman in this real life scenario, but outside some objectives I can point you towards, you'll be on your own. This will test everything you've learned so far. External network attacks, intrusion, drone satellites, cell phone attacks, you name it, it's here. Ready? A group of hackers is targeting a journalist named Laura Walker, and we want to get to her before they do. Let's start by getting into Newsstream Live's network. I mean, that's a bit of a dodgy premise in the first place, right? To stop someone getting hacked, you have to hack them. Surely, if you're a security agency, you just call the police and get them to go and visit her and say, we're aware that you're being targeted. You should probably do XYZ provisions to lower your surface area for attack, or attack surface. I don't know.
Yeah, well, as soon as we get into the area where we're supposed to do things outside of this academy, I've heard mention of drones already.
Yeah.
And someone said that they're not hacked. Yeah, as you said. It's a bit odd.
Jedi Homer says, Agent Bob Dylan. Yeah, to be honest, I would prefer it if it was Agent Bob Dylan. But all of his kind of mission briefings were lyrical refrains. It'd be good. So, find an entry point to NewStreamLive's network using newstreamlive.ca. So, that's going to be the vhost mapping stuff, right?
vhost. Oh, well, yeah, it'll be Ozint scan or whatever they.
Yeah, exactly.
SFuzzer, yeah.
I can never type properly at my standing desk either. I've just stood up to try and because my back was hurting, which might mean that my head is slightly cut off in the window. I might have to sit down again because it's a bit strenuous on the old wrists because my desk's a funny height. Right. Ustreamlive.ca.
I wonder how Canada would feel about us jumping over the border and messing with their media.
I don't think they'd be very happy, would they?
No.
Oh, I have to put a timer in. Like 40 seconds was roughly what we had to do most of the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, usually. The difference between standard and advanced was add 20 seconds, I think.
Yeah.
Demon says they would apologise to us. Yeah, probably.
Chesh says, I think the assumption is that all Gov participate in international espionage. Yeah, well, I think, the notion of sort of spycraft, statecraft, and diplomacy are all very much intertwined now. I mean, the diplomatic or political solution requires intelligence on those who you're attempting to engage in diplomacy with. And so what is supposed to be a legitimate political end to solving a dispute probably usually does start with some fairly unscrupulous information gathering, I would have thought.
Yeah, I don't know how artistic the license is on this because we would guess that US government, what have you, will, we know that they'll do what they want, but who was it that said that? Was it Cheshire? Have you heard the term Five Eyes? Cheshire?
Yeah, I think Cheshire will have.
Oh, I suppose, yeah, you've played this game. They talk about it in this, don't they? I'm guessing.
No, I think Cheshire's new to Nite Stream 4, actually. Not Nite Stream 4. Nite Stream 4. We should call our stream Nite Stream 4.
That's right. No, not Five Guys. Five eyes. Although, yeah, Five Eyes is the term for the 5 sets of eyes corresponding to the 5 nations that collaborate under that term, which are Australia, New Zealand, US, UK, Canada. Canada and US are therefore within that same kind of group, and a significant portion of all the activities and intelligence are shared between them.
Yeah.
Fairly informally, happily. So if we're jumping around into their territory and they did find out, it would be a bit more than the assumption is that everybody's doing it all the time, but
those 5 are supposed to be partnered up and so essentially not meant to be spying on each other. But I mean,
they would be, because more cordial than others, because some will perform specific functions and the overlap is quite high. Like intelligence agencies in the UK and the US very regularly will develop their own things and share the same infrastructure, the same tooling across. Obviously, they'll strip out parameters for anything they expressly want to use, like maybe creds or whatever. But for example, the MI5 based created, or it came out of them, this tool, which was to do with breaking into Samsung TVs, and they essentially gave that technology to CIA to use, as an example. So the sharing and the sort of overlap of friendliness between Five Eyes is supposed to be quite high. Numberdos says, just got myself a safe and secure Huawei phone. No, you did not. Numberdos, no, you did not.
Well, it says winky face afterwards.
Indeed. What the there's a saying. So we use the term APT or Advanced Persistent Threat. The phrase
which
goes
basically
something like,
means an international organisation of a state-backed
somebody
entity or level.
Yeah. And this isn't my phrase. This is the common phrase people say. The Russians are advanced, the Chinese are persistent, and the Israelis are the actual threat.
Oh, the Israelis. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what they say. Don't drone me.
Oh, looks like we might have a few vulnerable servers on lifestyle.newstream.ca. Here we go.
IIS, it says there. I can read that now. Port 80 IIS, we're talking about a Microsoft server there then.
SharePoint 2007. So, now we're going to go to the exploit DB.
Gathering module initiated.
Just like real life.
So, this is CVE 2010-3964, unrestricted file upload vulnerability in the document conversions launcher service in Microsoft Office. SharePoint Server 2007 SP2. When the document conversion load balancer service is enabled, allows remote attackers to execute arbitrary code via a custom SOAP request to TCP on port 8082. aka a malform request code execution vulnerability. So TC over IP and SOAP request are our parameters here.
That's it's always depressing when I hear someone sort of like, yeah, great RCE, and then someone says SOAP, and normally you mean you've got to craft and send it XML here, and that is never good. There was a SOAP one recently for some Java stack. It was one of the Apache struts things, I think, which required you having to fiddle about with XML for a SOAP-based request. Awful. So the fact that you've got it nicely on ExploitDB saves you days of grief.
Right, so now that we know that, I guess we're jumping into... No, that's the wrong thing. No, that's the wrong thing also.
Sounds like something Fox Acid would do for us.
Yeah, I thought that it was down the bottom, but it's not. You do have to go after the right. So, delivery is TCP over IP. Exploit was SOAP request. It never really tells you what rootkit to use.
No, we have to specify Windows here, though, if there's the option to do so. That might be the only thing. That's what I had mentioned earlier, right? So.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. There's nothing. There's no indicator here. HVM mount. After midnight and assassin. Assassin seems to fail all the time. After midnight seems to work all the time, and I haven't used HVM mount. So let's try that. Target URL. Oh, go on.
Also, the thing is, one of these, the way they might not work is that they might be just targeting specific OSs, and that's why one of them keeps working, because we keep. Here we go. Rank bars we're talking about.
In the middle one had 2 rank. Oh right, yeah, it did. Yeah, like some kind of military kind of garb bars. I don't know whether that means it definitely works better or not. Well, let's see. Target technology. It was SharePoint, wasn't it?
Yep.
No tab to complete that? No. SharePoint dash 2007?
They should all have. Well, you should be able to hook. Hypervisors on anything, as long as it's enabled.
Or 8082.
That's right.
See what this does. No, it doesn't like that rootkit.
Failed.
So that,
Okay.
even though that does have those 2 bars on it, I bet you Assassin will fail as well. Let's try that one.
Fox acid.
Yep, that one
Fox
failed as well.
acid attack.
So for some reason, I only ever seem to be able to get after midnight to work.
Fox acid attack.
Launched. There you go. Maybe it's relative effectiveness or something.
Oh, no. So we've just been told that purple equals Windows. So after midnight is the one.
Ah,
Right.
okay. Interesting. So the box. Well, but that's
Maybe.
not
Maybe
technically
that's true.
true. See in the turbine here, we've got Dialog Intranet, and that was an after midnight one, and it says it's a Linux box that we'd attacked at the bottom. So these ones are Windows.
Look like we did the thing there, though. Did we do it?
Do what thing? Oh, I
Did
got it to
we-
work. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one I attacked. I assume it's this one here. Extranet. Yeah, it must be. Yes. Congratulations. Training complete. There we go. Back to certification. Well, we're rolling through this now. It seems like this is all a little bit more intuitive all of a sudden.
Now that we're in,
Yeah. Cheshire says just trial and error then. Yep, again, very realistic. Just pipe stuff
Prod
at
away.
things until one thing will be right. Demon, this game OS restriction is not a thing. Not really. You can get around a lot of this cross-platform payloads are a thing.
Yeah. Jedi, and just start poking a network with various rootkits until something works.
Cheshire, yes and no. It depends on. It depends entirely on what you're trying to do.
Repeat the question when you're answering something, Path, just so that people who haven't necessarily seen the chat can. Follow up.
Cheshire has said, networks is networks much of the time. TCP/IP doesn't care about OS frequently. No, it doesn't. But you, the attacker, does. You do. Getting in can be quite different because Windows and Linux have different TCP stacks and different nuances. So some things that you might have geared up that are quite convoluted, and like maybe you need to do something very specifically related to the protocol stack, suddenly you find out that you do have to make some significant changes. But most of the time, most of the attacks have nothing to do with anything complicated, and you can just bounce stuff everywhere. But for example, if you were to scan something and you found port 445 and you thought, I know, Eternal Blue / whatever, the Shadow Broker's dumped tools, if you're hitting a Samba instead, bouncing out of some Linux box, you're not necessarily going to have a good time. If it's an older Windows, you're in. So it does matter, but for most people it doesn't, because they just want to mine Monero, so they don't care.
Right, we're on to phase 2. Nicely done. Now that we're in, let's gather data. See if there are any new Streamlive internal servers that could give us some info on Laura Walker, her co-workers, and their current location. So, Turbine C2. Jump on.
Initiated.
Oh, we're on it already. Use stream live. I assume that means we're on it already. Oh, no. Yeah, we were.
Jinx, Demon has just mentioned an old rootkit. Jinx was great. Trying to think. There was the Moon one as well, which I thought, was that a modified Jinx as well? I can't remember.
Scan Use Team Live's network and dig out information about their employees. Okay, so.
Sounds like a scan.
Yeah, what was NetScan on though? That was. Because we're on the network now, so you don't need to.
So we're scanning internally.
Yeah, WMI scanner. Is that right? Yeah.
That'll
was
tell you
NetScan.
what's shared.
Yeah, that is the one.
Yeah. That'll tell you shared assets across the domain, all that, depending on how they set it up.
Here we go.
Let's see.
Yeah.
So someone, Demon says, in before LD preload on Windows, and to you I would say Windows subsystem for Linux. People have even deployed a version of Kali to put on Windows now. Disgusting as that concept is. So there is LD preload in there somewhere, possibly in some fudged virtualized thing that hooks the Windows API anyway. Jumping down. Cheshire, yeah, I understand that you have to approach the protocol. Yeah, you're right that the network is the network, but yeah, the technologies don't care, but you do. Everybody misses the basics because they'll spend too long looking at the wrong thing because they just haven't looked for the right small bits of information that can save them tons of time. Ports and TTL, they make a difference to your flow.
Keyscore forensics initiated.
Have you not heard of the Moon, Demon? They called it that because when it jumped to the routers, it left the smiley faces from that film with Sam Rockwell, was it maybe, when he was on that base, the Moon?
Moon by Dead Bow son,
Moon.
Duncan.
But there was some kind of, I think it was some kind of rootkit called the Moon, and it placed the little smiley faces from that film as images on the router, and then it kind of disappeared, and that's all it really did. I thought it was something to do with, I don't know. There's a rootkit wizard we might know that will tell us these things.
Yep. Yeah, it's a shame he's not on the stream to.
This is his deal.
Territory. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to remind him.
So, congratulations, Agent. You just unlocked the list of employees from Ustream Live. You can start cross-referencing these entities and pattern analyses in your Keyscore forensics tool to find relations and important intel about your target. See what you can find out about Ustream Live, Laura Walker, and the other employees. So, this is where this all gets a bit awkward, actually, if you remember. Like, as soon as you've got a whole bunch of things to do with Keyscore, it just feels like it's very easy to just be a bit random and throw it in. So, I guess traveling chatter was one of the things to check before, wasn't it? See whether there's any. Oh, whoops, I've done this wrong. Find intel about the crew's car disappearance using Keyscore. Car disappearance? When did we learn about that? Because I'm aware that was what had even happened.
Key score
So
forensics.
traveling chatter.
No, so we
Go on.
we've picked up a load of intel from whatever we just did. So somewhere within there,
Oh, right.
we would have come across that information, right? Look, just say its name and it appears. Looks like we have SMB there open.
What do you mean?
I think you just shown an interface that had 445. The stream might be lagging behind a bit. You see?
Yeah, it may well be.
Registry
Yeah,
Can't
I just
imagine
saw
what
an
I'm looking
port
at.
445. Essentially, if you mention Eternal Blue, SMB will appear.
X
Yeah.
key score forensics initiated.
A partial relation.
Yeah, so it wants us to drop more and more people in. I guess maybe it'll let us put all of them in. No, 3 is the server capacity, so maybe.
Good night, Cheshire. If you
Yeah, see you, Cheshire. Thanks for
go
coming.
ahead. I think they're about to leave if they
Demon
haven't
too.
already. Take it easy, Demon.
See you soon.
Sail safe.
This is very much a trial and error one.
Yeah.
Partial relations between the entities you try and analysis and combination with others.
Cheshire was saying goodnight. I see. Async chat conversation. That's the problem.
Aha.
Still there, grinning away.
I'm not getting much luck with this X key score. Oh, there we go, finally. So, we've got ID cards for each of these people now. IDs and records.
Good.
So it's
Laura
find
Walker was the
intel
name, wasn't
about the crew's car disappearance, though. I mean, would
Okay.
their ID cards give us any information about that? Not really. We've got a picture of them.
Cheshire says, "This is making me interested in the game. At least I haven't touched real security stuff in almost a decade."
There you go.
Yeah, the game is good,
I'm looking at the
and I
evidence
don't
just found.
game often at all. I very limited patience for it, and this is
Checked out a half hour ago.
quite attention grabbing.
Got a serious lead here. Let me
It's
activate
good fun.
some of Ottawa City's data infrastructure in X key scores.
Real security stuff, luckily for you, hasn't really changed for a decade.
One of them can help
If you knew how to roam around things back then, you will still be able to do those same things now, and most of the time they will work.
So we've unlocked some new entities for Ottawa's police scanners, Ottawa's traffic CCTV, Ottawa Airport ATC, Ottawa ER registration. They've all been given us by the other agent because we found this here checkout logs for their car. So we have their license plate as well, NSLO1. And it was
LO or L0? Because
Hard to
the
say.
thing is News Stream Live or something like that.
Yeah.
Would it be
you're right.
01?
So Newsstream Live 01. That makes sense.
Could be.
Private license
We'll-
plate.
Yeah. Who's got this money in news media in Canada? Cheshire says it is a 0
Oh yeah.
compared to notes, so we don't have to think. That is good because this gets us every time we try and work stuff out, and we can take 20-30 minutes, and it's somewhere in a note.
What notes? Not notes we've taken. Someone else's notes.
No. Compare. No, he says compare to notes. No. The letter O In notes.
Oh,
compare
it. That makes sense.
Use mentioned it. Fantastic. I haven't had one of those for a while.
So back to X key score, I suppose.
Key score forensics.
Jedi Omen and Cheshire are both right. Compare. It is right above it. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oops, I just closed X key score by mistake. Wonder how many people have said that.
X key score forensics initiated.
Right.
In real life, probably more, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was around for a while, right?
So it's Laura Walker that we're looking
Yep.
for. And
Com
well, I
chat.
guess that same
Hang on.
person, Andy Hathaway. Go on.
We want to get all of this. Andy Hathaway, was it? Or Hathaway?
Hathaway.
Hathaway
Yeah.
doesn't like hats. And the com channel was 02-AL6 something.
Okay.
We want to remember these things.
Oh, partial relation between entities. Okay, try the traffic CCTV. Here you go.
'Cause there was some-
Radar snapshot. So this
Okay.
is getting us closer to their location, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. That is. They were going 72 kilometers per hour, latitude 45, longitude 7, latitude 45.3210,
Mm-hmm.
and longitude minus 75.8333.
Okay.
Track the target's location using satellite view. So, did you write that down?
Yes, I did.
Cool. So, enter coordinates.
Intelligence
What was that?
45.3210.
Mm-hmm. Long.
Longitude minus 75.8333.
3 threes.
Correct.
Deploying satellite imagery. Jedi Omen, path is the human notepad. Too right, path is the human notepad. Half the time he remembers all this stuff without writing it down. Device vehicle tracking enabled. Here we go. Oh right, license plate. We can write it in.
Okay.
We had their license plate, didn't we?
Yeah, NSL01.
Oh yeah.
There was some mention of a com channel as well, and I didn't quite have enough time to get that, but it might be the case that we could listen into a thing at a point in time.
We've got them now. Scan wireless signatures.
Smart billboards.
Smart billboards. That's going to be fun.
Oh, amazing. Did you know a new billboard thing's just dropped?
You don't follow, eh?
Like a really good one.
You know the big billboards everywhere in the city?
And it's not really gone out. I'm sure I talked about this last time, but a really good little billboard thing's gone out for people to investigate. There are many billboards to find.
So it's saying that basically the kind of footfall tracking on these billboards
Well, these billboards are listed.
we can leverage. I'm on a kind of
Cell phones carry a signature. They can know how many
timing
Let me
issue. Let me show you how powerful such a technology can be. First, we'll hook ourselves into the Trimedia data.
You already know the steps.
Is that what they said? Yeah.
We can track this real-time information. You already know the steps. Scan their network, investigate potential vulnerabilities, and deploy after midnight.
Okay, interesting.
Access to their main domain.
Well, so it says back to certification at the top. Does that not normally
Yeah.
mean we've done the thing?
It's time to show me
Because we are tracking them, aren't we?
Yeah, apparently. So I think we've done what we needed to there. Yeah, apparently. So now
Well,
we
we're
have to do
tracking them
some...
right. That's what this thing is doing, right?
Billboards around the city, they're
Yeah.
really smart billboards. They're
So,
fitted with Wi-Fi scanners to identify how many people
although we're
visit
tracking them,
so they can charge the advertisers more money at busy intersections.
I think the next thing it wants us to do
It
is
also means we can hack the company
use the
that manages
billboards to
and use the data to triangulate Laura
find her
Walker's
cell phone.
Let's hope we can get to her in time.
There's a weird dripping or lopping sound going on with the game. It must have some kind of audio bug or something. Um,
2 minutes before the bomb explodes, Jedi Omen says.
Oh no, I hope not. So, I think the clock has stopped ticking. I hope it has. Because we've got to find a vulnerability in these IoT billboards. So we don't want to. We don't want to have under a minute to do that.
Information gathering
Hack faster, we're being told.
initiated.
Well, if you want geolocations for IoT billboards IRL, we can do that for you. You know, quid pro quo. You give us a nice billboard game, we give you billboards. Let's see if I can find. While you're doing that, I'll see if I can find any, because there should be some around. Where is this?
So we're using OSINT scan on the billboard owners' websites. We found some subdomains. api.billboard.trionmedia. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll fingerprint a few things, I guess.
Let's see.
Here we go.
Amazing.
Have you found some stuff?
So I could give you some actual coordinates to an actual billboard, if you wanted. There's somewhere in the US. The problem is, it's worried because although it's got some billboard information, there's also a ton of the things that are coming off the same pipe have the word kitten in the name, and I don't want to mess with kittens, so I'm going to leave that alone. Let's see what else we got. How are you getting on?
I've managed to do the OSINT scan, and then I fingerprinted the API subdomain, and that has come up as vulnerable, or at least part of it is on port 1935. So we're doing fine. Getting there. Just have to remember. That's what's vulnerable. Let's have a look. Gain access to Tron Media's network. So, that's what it is. Yeah, we would just then search the database, wouldn't we? Exploit database. Yeah. Okay. Can't even remember the name of the exploit we're after. Here we go. Oh, no. None on that. That's odd. Hmm. Okay, I need to concentrate because I've managed to miss the deal here a bit. Gain access to Trimedia's network. So what would we use? Oh, right. No. We know that that's vulnerable. That's meant to be vulnerable, so I should be able to search. Oh, that's what I'm getting wrong. I was searching the domain in the exploit database, and I need to search the technology.
Oh yes, no, yeah. Sorry, I've jumped back in now.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, it's the pipe you want. The technology stack.
So that is UDP segmentation fault. It's CVE 2010-3635. Media server 3 allows attackers to execute arbitrary code via UDP attack vectors using segmentation fault vulnerability on port 1935. The exploitation doesn't need any form of port.
Hang on. So if it's seg faulting the thing, it must be injecting something for the exception state to hook the exception to execute. I'm gonna look at that up. See what the deal is. It sounds very interesting. Say 2010-3506, you said.
Sorry, Cheshire told us what I was supposed to be looking at a couple of minutes ago before we got here as well.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. Yeah, media.
Apologies.
He goes, media server. Not the host name, the software, media server. So we got there, Cheshire. And then Jedi Hammond's exploit followed by Fox Acid. Yeah, that's exactly right. So next we...
Can you just say that CVE again?
yeah.
I think
that
you said
is
3506.
3635.
3635.
CVE 2010-3635.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Amazing.
What?
Yeah, what they do in the game are the two prefixing words: Adobe Flash media server.
Yeah.
Adobe Flash, of course, the abuse victim that never stops getting abused.
Yeah.
Within Infotech, Flash gives you all the things. Speaking of Adobe, there was another Cold Fusion thing recently, last week or so. Shells for days. Yeah, failure to handle exceptional conditions. It's exception handling. Cause an exception. Excellent.
935, that's what I'm after. Right.
Fox acid
Oh no, it's not SharePoint, is it? It's
failed.
media server.
Fox acid attack.
There we go.
Fox acid attack.
So-
Successful.
Now, activate the VPN and go back to our satellite feed.
Take the VPN and go back to site.
Hopefully they haven't left the area.
Drone and imagery intelligence active.
There we go, okay.
We now have each billboard data feed in real time. When she gets in proximity of one of the smart billboards, click it so we get a snapshot of the active Wi-Fi network.
Okay.
Good job. What you see here is the downloaded data from the billboard. It shows all unique cell phone signatures detected at the exact moment she was in the area. That's a lot of data. Sadly, it won't help us pinpoint her exact cell phone's unique identification. Let's hit the smart billboard.
It's interesting because there isn't that much information out there about the true vectors of this. There's some bits of information, but it's not like one of these. It's one of the ones where people who've never sort of had to do the sort of daily Vuln research thing. It's so infuriating when a CVE gets announced and it says a command execution or a code execution vulnerability is performed by unspecified vectors, and that's all they say, and there's no information, right?
Alright.
A lot of the time these don't make that many headlines, like people go, yeah, it's a big thing. There's nothing even now that's sort of like, if you normally do a simple search for this stuff and it was widely used, there's information everywhere about it. So are they saying in this game then that because they've especially called this one out, and yet according to the internet there's not that much information, have they kind of disclosed that someone they talked to in an intelligence agency or similar when they were developing this game have given information about this specific one, which in turn alludes to the fact that they were using this? Is there something that's become leaked
Well,
from this?
I don't know. I mean, it sounds plausible to me.
Because if you have, like, if someone's called something out, normally it's because they've remembered those CVEs for a reason. But it's one of those ones where there's very little information that's actually really out there. But they put it, like, of all the things in that year, they've put it in the game, right? Maybe they've just gone, we want to hack a billboard, how do we do that? And it's just come up naturally, but could be the fact that we've actually found a little inferred Easter egg here in that an intelligence agency did definitely use this, and yet the world hasn't really paid much attention to it. We're not doing well on this bomb here.
No, I know. Is it a bomb? We've got 10 seconds left. I just meant to be getting more smart billboards, but maybe I'm not in the right place. I don't seem to be able to click. They said we need to click on something. Target lost. Okay, we can just keep searching for them. It's just that we have 2 minutes.
Once we've got them, right.
So it's not a bomb. It's just that you've only got 3 minutes that you can keep locked onto them. Scan wireless signatures, smart billboard, public Wi-Fi. Oh, there we go. Okay, so so now that we have that, I don't understand what it's saying to us.
X key score forensics initiated.
Take a second snapshot of the area to narrow the list down. So this is our list of devices, but it says take a second snapshot of the area. I don't really. Oh, like that. There we go. Oh, there we go. See where you're going with this. Right, now we've got the MAC address in 2 different locations. These duplicates are her and some of the cars following. Hit it another time.
I see. Yeah.
Do we have to wait for that thing to pop up again? There we go. I see, yeah. So these are the billboards. Just connect to that cell phone. So it is the Apple one. There we go. Start intrusion. Yep, we're on her phone. So we'll activate target's microphone to see to hear what's happening in the car. Activate microphone button. See, I don't know why they make us wear tuxedos. What's that? Car radio goes haywire. What the hell is going on? Something's wrong with the car. Hold on, I'm pulling over. That must be it.
The engine just died.
So that was that. Right, okay. Well, that's it. So, weren't we supposed to warn them or something? Well, I guess it was training, so it doesn't matter. It was a simulation, right?
Yep. Simulation with real ones, though.
It said it was based. Oh, yeah, I'm not really sure now. Well, anyway.
Well, we won the game there. It says there's a thing there with wings on it.
Yep, it's true enough. Certification granted, included training. So I think we've done our network intrusion training now. Oh, hang on. Yeah. Active trainings. Yeah. I think we've done it all. %. 100% of the academy. Yeah, baby.
Excellent.
So, I think that's probably a good place to leave it. The bounties are something we can come back to next time, or we can do story world, or open world missions are optional assignments for agents looking for a bigger challenge. You'll need to venture outside of the Stinger OS in order to investigate and come back and execute your attacks. Complete these challenges for special rewards. So I think those are the ARG elements, where you have to go and, when they say open world, they mean real world. Cheshire says congrats. Thanks very much, Cheshire. Yeah, we're very happy to have completed our Spy Academy. We are now creepy spooks.
So, as we mentioned before, in the last stream, there was a hint that there would be a site that gets put together. And I think maybe over the next few days we might be able to have a look at how that might look.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be a small thing where we would have sort of almost CTF tokens, if you like, buried around this sort of microsite. And based on what we've looked at today, which includes things such as, well, I mean, aircrack, but generally packet capture device such as Wireshark.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be something in there that will help you if you were to learn a little bit about Wireshark and how to use it when this site goes together. Remember this thing, those who are on the stream. So, as I've said before, there will be some easy win ones, and then there will be some punishing ones that they'll be in there to win the key. Though you either got to be quick to get the easy ones, or you got to work hard to get the hard ones, and they'll probably be maybe, I don't know, 5 or so. Cheshire, what is this for? Well, it was just an idea that we had for some of the keys that we had available for playing this game. But it was just a small microsite that I was going to possibly put together so that people could test what they might be able to learn about within this game and put it into reality.
So, with that in mind, oh, there we go. We've just done our random draw of who has won the key for the game this time round, and it is Noni Mad. So, congrats, Noni Mad. I'll ping that into the Discord. Like Path says, though, that's not your only chance to win a key. So, like, to those who are in the chat at the minute watching who entered, such as Chesh and Demon, there'll be more chances to win keys to Nite Team 4. We've been given a bunch by the devs very kindly. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a bunch of these little challenges regularly. So every couple of weeks we'll throw out something new. And like we said, Path's talking about doing a little kind of InfoSec challenge site type thing. And we'll probably make a one for building a module for the Python bot in the Discord, however simple, but maybe do one that's sort of based around making a piece of fan art or something along those lines, if that's more your kind of bag. So there'll be a few different ways to win keys to Nite Team 4 while we're streaming them. But congratulations to Noni Mad. I'll just go and paste that into the Discord. So yeah. Path, any last things? Any last thoughts or passing advice until the next time?
Don't download malware. It's always a good one. Say it as often as I can, but everything is a variable. Every time you're looking at a thing, might be a bit of code. Anything that doesn't look like some generic piece of code, otherwise is some form of nonsensical bit of data, write it down or store it. All of the things need to be taken, because somewhere there is possibly a much easier way to complete whatever you're doing, and all you have to do is take your time and pay attention. Most people don't do this, therefore most people will be behind you. Everything is a variable.
Yep. There you go.
Shep's life has turned up.
What's that?
Shep's life has just arrived.
Ah, well, we're just shutting on down. We've Shep's life. You'll be happy to know we've just completed the academy with flying colours.
Shep's life has asked people to complete a command there, a keyboard shortcut. Don't do that if you don't know what it is, but it will end your stream quickly.
Well, yeah, I think this is we're qualified to drone people now. Yeah. Phoenix Firefly brought a bunch of us over. To the stream from another stream? Is that what you're saying?
I think just from the channel.
Okay. Oh well, it's a bit of a shame that we're finishing up. Raid ISA functionality. Yeah, there you go. Raided from the end of. So how does that work, Phoenix Firefly? Can we then do that from here to another Nite Team 4 stream?
He just means invading.
No, it's like an actual. It's a thing in Twitch that that I
You
think
can-
that Nite Team 4. Yeah, I think that the Nite Team 4 guys have like done.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
This
I think.
won't be abused at all.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think they make it kind of a kind of friendlier, sanitized version because you can only raid other people's playing the same game or something like that.
All right.
Phoenix Firefly
Yeah,
says,
so this
I don't
could
know if
be-
anyone else is streaming NT4 at the moment though. Oh, that's a shame.
So what you said, I could find a game that has a high user base that is free to play. I could start a stream. I could accumulate a ton of bots, and then I could just raid someone with them. That's what you're saying.
Well,
If someone else is,
Sounds like it's not even linked to singular games. You can raid any live channel.
right?
So, but it's the channel operator who initiates the raid. So you have to own the channel, and you basically take your
Yeah, that's
audience
right.
over. Interesting. So, I mean, for future reference, it would be kind of fun to see where that's at. Let's jump into Twitch. Oh yeah, there is a bunch. There's 15. Oh well, shall
Someone
we?
just-
There's 15 people watching now. Shall we?
Right.
Shall we? And that's just on Twitch, like let alone YouTube and Periscope and Mixer. So,
Someone
yeah,
just said, please don't. No, don't exploit the system like that. I think you told the wrong people.
Yeah, Chesh says don't exploit the thing. They say in a hacking game chat.
You know, raiding is just a fun. Like if you're bored on an afternoon, and you just told me how I can do it on Twitch, which of course has lots of gamers who are quite passionate about being able to watch other gamers, right? Amazing.
So there must be a button somewhere. I hadn't even realised that Twitch had changed its whole UI recently either. So is it a command that you do in the chat for raiding? How does that work? Oh look, we've just had a drop as well. So the Twitch drops are working.
On dashboard bottom right wheel. UI changed today.
On your dashboard, bottom right. More
Create a
options.
dashboard. From create a dashboard.
Oh,
we have
okay,
been told.
right. Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, right? A bit of information about Twitch for you heavy Twitch users. I don't know if any of you know, but Twitch, unless they've changed it very recently, they actually back-end their chat infrastructure on IRC. So
Yes.
what you're telling me is, I might be able to recruit a massive server, and because I'd be able to watch where if I were to say jump into your channel because you're streaming,
Mm-hmm.
I'd to work out the actual channel somewhere that I could then talk to simply from an IRC pipe. So if I could recruit through the Twitch interface
Mhm.
tons of bots to the IRC network, have those bots join my Twitch stream, then raid yours, that's a whole IRC botnet of people that's just going to jump in, into your stream there.
Even more fun than that, that IRC backend that it's based on, someone made an open source or an informal integration of the two, so that people could join the Twitch chat from IRC nodes.
Yeah, no. So you could actually do this if you found where it was. So if you say you go in your browser to a Twitch channel and you join your chat, if you actually watch the network of where it's going here, half the time you're seeing IRC there anyway. So you get the server name and you can do it there. What the issue was, I think, was simply to have a true name resolution from the Twitch channel versus the actual server and channel name, whatever they've actually called it. But you could always do this, as far as I knew, because that's how I found out. I was watching some network activity, if you like, and that's how I saw it. So yeah, you can have a ton of fun on Twitch stuff, and thanks to Phoenix Firefly, I'll anything I do, I'll credit you with the knowledge there, enabled by pt.5. How about that?
Enabled. Well, even better than that, I actually met the BizDev guy at Twitch, who used to be the BizDev guy at Humble.
Okay.
And he was up for throwing some money our way for building an IRC Twitch integration. So
Really?
yeah. So if you actually wanted to come up with a proposal, and we had a realistic kind of timescale for it, I could pitch that to them. So you get money and inside info and all the fun.
So it's very tempting, but that might be a bad idea given Revit, various histories on the matter. Just all you do is you make a wrapper to something hardened, like a decent Inspire CD config, and then just pipe whatever you want. Use the wrapper as a sort of API, and there you go. And then you will run Twitch, and it will be amazing. Yeah, definitely. We need to find this. We need to work this guy and see what the deal is with that. Sounds very
I
interesting.
can't remember his name. I think it was Tam.
Well, on the live stream, maybe the names need to be.
Well, I mean, I just said what his job title is, so it's not going to be hard for people to find this person.
Well, thanks to Phoenix Firefly, who has enabled much future shenanigans. Thank you to you again. Just in case I haven't said it on the stream enough, that was Phoenix Firefly has allowed us to do what we're about to do. Maybe,
allegedly.
Yeah. Well, very interesting, that end to the stream. I'm glad you guys raided. You've opened doors.
Well, I guess what we could do to wrap up is we could have a little look at Off-Grid for anyone that's come from Firefly's stream and hasn't heard of Off-Grid, just quickly.
Can do.
Phoenix Firefly and those guys, anyone there interested in seeing a little bit of Off-Grid? Otherwise, the other thing we could do is we could just crack open a bounty and have a little go at one of those quickly.
Well, Shep's Life has said, I haven't had a chance to look at it yet.
Ah, perfect. Cool. All right, let's do that then. Let's jump out and have a look at a bit of Off-Grid then. I did. I said that Off-Grid's mildly broken, didn't I? Do you remember? I said that the data view doesn't.
Yeah, the data view's off.
Well, we can still have a look. Let's see.
Is that the only build that you have?
No, I can go to an older build.
because that is the one
It's
for me.
quite,
That is
quite
the shot
useful.
that.
Yeah, it's what people like to
Yeah,
see.
it is
isn't
quite
it?
a good one. Yeah.
Right. So let's quit. Oh, I can never find how to quit. There. Stinger OS. Leave the game.
Closing root access. Goodbye.
Jesh says define mildly. What's that in reference to? What did we say mildly? Oh, mildly broken. Is that what I said? It's mildly broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is mildly broken, but I'll find a different build.
By mildly, we mean a key component, which is one of the USPs of the game.
Doesn't show properly.
Isn't that a statement, really?
It's fixed already. It's a bug that is just in the last first access build.
Right.
Let me just switch out what we're looking at here. Monitor. There we go. Transition over there. So you've got off-grid. This is because it being the dev stream. We showed people around one of the mods that were being made. So this is This is Milliways from, and this is a real place that some folks from the Discord modded. It's a hacker camp, so that was kind of cool. Yeah, what we're going to do is I'm going to find a different beta and jump onto, I think it was the external branch. I think so. And I'll update to an older build, as they say. Shouldn't take very long.
Yeah, we have to do that all the time.
Well, I mean, especially when you're kind of pushing kind of relatively live builds to people to test, there's always going to be something that you
Test in prod.
Yeah.
Yeah, always.
Well, it looks like Steam downloading the update is killing the stream. Oh dear.
Yeah, it does look like that. Yep, that is what has happened.
Oh, you bastard, Steam.
Yeah, Steam is a fat one, isn't it?
There we go. I think it's nearly over. Shep's Life didn't realise it was on Steam. Added to wishlist. Thanks, Sheps. We'll just put the off-grid soundtrack on in the background as well. A bit. The update is nearly done. I'm at 69%.
Oh, maybe we're back. Are we back? Or is
We
this
were
the beginning?
briefly. Be over in a second. Nearly there. Sticks and stone based internet connection. Yeah. Stone Age, you mean? It looks like it's updated, so that, let's see, this should give us a build of off-grid, although looks like the stream is still catching up. Shep's Life says, ever play Covert Action back in the day? No, I'm not sure I know the title. Have you heard of that?
Covert Action, no.
just look it up quickly. I mean, if it's on PC and still runnable, maybe we can add it to the hacking game series if it's a hacking game or a game with
sounds
hacking.
good.
So, are we back? The stream has stopped buffering now that Steam's stopped hugging all my bandwidth.
It seems like we're back.
Yeah. Cool.
I think so.
Right, let's
No. Yeah, no, we're there.
Let's see. Let's launch off grid and see. There we go. Oh, we want to tab out and close the music off here. Shep's Life says, from the pics on Steam, it reminds me of a spin-off of Covert Action I wanted to make. Oh, nice. Well, Shep's Life, based on the modding toolset that we've built, you could use Off-Grid to make your Covert Action spin-off, because you could make pretty much anything. You can learn a bit more about the modding toolset, but I suppose if I switch over quickly, you'll see. Essentially, we've built this kind of level kit toolset where it's a Unity editor tool that allows you to build entire scenes, add characters, create new characters, create missions, objectives, conversations, all kinds of stuff, and it's all in Lua, the scripting language. So yeah, it's an 8 or 16-bit game. Right, so anyway, I was going to show a bit of Off-Grid, wasn't I?
Yeah, I think so.
So let's jump into the Apostle, just because that's always a good little area. Jedi Omen says, "Nice ink, Rich. Thanks very much." It was 7 hours. It was quite a long job, that one. Yeah, on my arm.
Oh, we need to have a discussion about long jobs.
Well, yeah, I'm aware that you've potentially sat in the chair for longer. Oh, this always happens as well. First load of Off-Grid takes quite a while it caches a load of stuff. I think it has to compile shaders the first time.
Music intensifies, we've been told.
Well, while this is the horrible thing about Unity games as well, actually. Loading is a complete... you can't get the loading screen to calculate loading accurately. It does a load of the loading after it tells you 100%, and there's nothing you can do. So this is a common occurrence with Unity games. Things that say 100% loaded and are still doing the vast majority of their loading in the background. So yeah. Looks like we're there though.
Surely there's a way around that. There must be a way around that.
I don't know. I haven't looked at it that often.
You project you project the amount of memory that you're going to take up with allocation, and then you would, instead of trusting whatever Unity does, you could just see the current allocation level. Yeah,
but how would you then
as things map? Oh, this would be underneath the level that Lua would necessarily offer.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It would. Yeah, you'd be looking at C# functionality, but you wouldn't be able to project anything kind of time-based because it's going to differ per machine as to what the load time is.
No, definitely not.
So
I hate when they do. Domino, they did that for ages, by the way. You know, when it says delivering your pizza, and it wasn't tracking anything; it was just a time-based thing.
Yep.
Cheating.
Yeah, exactly. Aaron says 7 hours is extensive. Yeah, it was meant to be. It was meant to be shorter. Oh, there's an interesting bug. There's a guard's shadow walking around. So this is off-grid, basically. Off-grid is based on the premise of you have a set of kind of Google Glass type glasses that you've been given that you end up flashing or routing and being able to add hooky software to, including network mapping tools and packet sniffing tools and SSH and whatever else. And that's all kind of visualized in your glasses, so you can see data as it's being generated. So you can see a few little spots of data being created up in the world there by guards sending text messages. So yeah, that's the basic kind of premise for off-grid as from a mechanical perspective. We'll skip through this by telling Smedley that we don't really feel like chatting. Yeah, and most of the gameplay revolves around doing this kind of sniffing of the data around and in front of you. So, for instance, in this part here, you might not know what's in the next room, but if you use data view, you can see that there's some text messages up there, and if you then turn on the data utility, you can actually read them. That says, Dave, are you asleep? Coleman, could you go and check that air duct in the men's bathroom is properly closed? Oh, and that's funny, is Chesh still here? Because there's a complete coincidence that your name is one of the guards in the first level, which is quite funny.
I don't know. I don't know if they are here.
But yeah, so based on those messages, we can guess that there is someone asleep in this room rather than actively guarding it. And you can hear them snoring now.
Shep's Life says, Nite Team 4 plus Watch Dogs has tuplets.
Yes, that is pretty much what this is.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it is a good bridge, really, isn't it?
It is, yeah, exactly. It's that kind of slightly more casual approach to the gameplay, and you know, it's a bit more kind of bite-sized, I suppose. I hope that some of the kind of certain the kind of cultural references and some of the things that we'll technically reference in Off-Grid mirror a lot of what Nite Team 4 does. There's all kinds of different tools you've got Flutter, which is like a kind of Twitter-like for your OSINT, and basically as you're going around, oh, there's Cheshire. So as you're going around, you can start to pay attention to what's going on. So people in the building and outside of it will be posting to social media, and if you hack them or hack a device that they're using, they might tweet in frustration, so you know that you've managed to frustrate them in some way, shape or form. And essentially the name of the game is to collect as much data as possible. So as you can see, we've got all this data in the building here. We're going to kind of erase and delete some bits, just start saving some bits and pieces. And we're supposed to be making an attempt to get into the men's bathroom, I believe.
There's some furious Fight Club going on here.
Yeah, was just checking that out. So yeah, as we're kind of making our way through, the next thing that we need to do is use SSH to try and find devices that might help us out. So in here we've got the hand dryer. There's a thermostat here that we aren't able to hack into, but the hand dryer is on the network, and the reason that we know it's on the network that we have access to is because it actually sent us a text message earlier. In fact, I'll show you that. It sent us a text message saying, "This bathroom is powered in part by the Drytech personal hand error. Be sure to like us and share on Facebook." So we can now. Oh, I've just used up all of my time on the old data view. There we go. We've got I Need Ferrets has turned up as well. It's good to see some old usernames in the chat. Nice to have you. So yeah, we're gonna SSH into this hand dryer here. And Park, you've mentioned before that kind of the proliferately badly secured IoT protocols that we represent in the game are a bit like MQTT.
Very much so. That is the rising star of IoT protocols. A lot of people are trying to push to that standard. And when you don't quite secure it properly, or you don't put auth on it properly, then the world can see everything that's going on with your devices through that protocol. So when I mentioned earlier that I might be looking around for some billboards, actually finding some, I was looking through the archived MQTT things that I've had some adventures with in the past, and so a lot of these devices, it's very similar to real life, where you have either the ability to at least take data from a device without any authorization, or of course in some situations you can post commands to a device and change the state of the device.
Yep.
If you were to do that, changing the state of a machine or device is quite expressly called out in, at least in the UK legislation, Computer Misuse Act, US legislation, Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. Don't change states of machines without authorization, because you're going to have a bad time.
Well, I mean, even
This
access
is quite
is
close.
problematic in the CFA, right?
It is, but the crucial determining factor is whether or not there was authentication that was bypassed, right? And essentially, if you're seeing something on a port which has no authorization mechanism or authentication mechanism in front of it, it is no different to visiting port 80 to visit a web page. Now they'll argue the law on this, and they've left it as a grey area. Same.
Yep.
To CNN.com and get data back is what's implied. If you do anything, however, it would be the same as changing a website. And that is not good.
So we've got an MQTT-like hand dryer here that we've popped, and there are user logs that we've downloaded, and then there's system information. Gentleman, or is change the keyword there? Well, yeah, that's kind of what you're getting at, right, Parth?
Yeah, changing the state of a machine, changing the internal state of the machine, I think is pretty close to the verbiage, at least in the UK law. And to add to Jedi Omen mentioning there, is it considered foreign abuse to look? That I must have mumbled, but the term in the States is Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. There's an encompassing set of law.
We've just changed the internal state of this hand dryer in order to heat up the room and follow the old stealth trope of letting us through this air vent. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of data now building up around us. Some of it useful, some of it... There's something over there that we can't hack, not enough information to guess passwords, so throw that up and see, but it's been rejected. So that starts to give you the basics of what off-grid is kind of built up around, really. And the other part is kind of your more traditional stealth stuff, which we do in a couple of interesting ways. You have, it's a bit like Metal Gear Solid 3. I don't know if anyone in the chat played much Metal Gear Solid 3, but there was sort of like a camo meter, I suppose, where, you know, you were kind of 20% hidden or whatever else, and we've basically used the idea that you've got your smart glasses on to show you that you've got a certain amount of light reading out on your device, so you know when you're in and out of shadow. So as we pop into here, that's much brighter, but we know that over here we're hidden in, you know, 4% light. Sticking to the shadows and hacking things is the name of the game. Oh, and collecting as much data as possible. And I suppose the thing that I haven't shown yet is the notion of this sort of profiling tool, which over here we have a people thing. Dave Coleman, we've managed to work out, he's washed his hands. Chesh, you've washed your hands. That's all the information we have on you currently.
We know where he is, however, for that. Is that right?
We know where we know that he's on that bottom floor. That he's in this building.
So we would get an update then. If he goes and washes his hands again, we would get is that right? We'd get an update and it would say he has washed his hands again, and we go, right, well, we know where he is right now. Or is that, am I wrong
only if you
here?
check that device again.
Yeah,
as it
okay.
stands.
And it's no good checking a device when he's there.
No, because you'd know that he was there.
By the way, before we move forward, I am in no way a lawyer. Take none of what I have said for any form of truth. Memory-based comments. Certainly, I would recommend people going through Computer Misuse Act or Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, but don't take what I've said to be the way it is, because if you do something, disclaimers are everywhere. Sail safely.
So, I'm just catching up on the chat. So, that's quite interesting. I need Ferret says they've got a Metal Gear Solid 3 tattoo. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
What did you decide to iconify out of Metal Gear Solid 3, Ferrets? That's what I was going to show. Now we saved a load more of Coleman's data, and now we know that his mood is sad, his future event is eat, and his favorite hashtag is life, and his favorite swear is nuts. And that information will build up to helping us work out what kind of devices he's more likely to be used or persuaded to use, so we can more easily socially engineer him. And it will also build the equivalent of a kind of dictionary for cracking passwords on devices he owns. So the more data we collect that gives us useful info like that, the faster we'll be able to crack devices that belong to him. So yeah. This is an interesting one. We might as well show a bit of this before signing off. So we're now into the server room in the basement, which was one of our objectives. We're supposed to get in. We need physical access for this next puzzle. But lo and behold, we don't have physical access there. There's obviously the ability to SSH into some stuff. There's a laptop there, basement laptop, but it says not enough information to guess password, so that's not got open open creds or poor creds on. Ferret says could post a pic. If you're happy to, in the Discord, or I don't know whether you can post pictures in the Twitch chat. I was originally going for a full snake skeleton, but a snake skull is pretty scary, so I got a snake with some sorts being skeleton. Cool. Yeah. And well put about, obviously you'd be sharing to the general public, so feel free to if you're happy to.
It also depends where this is, because you haven't disclosed this information.
That's true. It's a snake as well.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't know where this is. So as long as it's on a region of body that would not otherwise cause, at the very least, some form of content moderation against the stream, then.
So we need to look for devices. I've realised that there we go. We need to look for devices that might help us with something. There's nothing on this phone that might get us into the server room, unfortunately. But this TV is hackable, and in the land of off-grid, everything is IoT, so this smart TV will probably have something on it that's of use. And so with this setup, we took, a bit like Nite Team 4 does actually, we took some real exploits off of the Vault 7 leaks. So Weeping Angel is a piece of malware that was developed by the CIA for smart televisions, and it would basically record conversations.
They borrowed it off the British.
Did they?
It did, yes.
Interesting.
British sent that around, and took some bits out of it and gave it over. They were quite happy to receive it. And TVs in general, you should be careful of for a number of reasons. One, that. Two, generally they seem to like to take their time when something is disclosed to them as a vulnerability between getting it and actually doing something about it. Yeah. But three, they don't really get the idea of privacy. And a few years ago, if you read their privacy statement, you would actually find buried within it a phrase something along the lines of, please be mindful that if you have voice commands enabled, it's almost in the thing, people now recognize the phrase always on, but it expressly tells you not to talk about sensitive information in the room your TV is in, because it will be sent to third parties. And that was on their website.
Well,
in their privacy statement.
Even worse than that, Samsung got in trouble because they were recording conversations and turning them from voice to text, and then passing those text file blobs unencrypted in plain text back to their own server.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So basically, your conversations in your living room were being transcribed and then sent unencrypted over the wire. Yeah, Ferrets, please do post the tattoo link. We'd love to see it.
He needs permission. Apparently, it's getting filtered out.
Oh, right. What? We need to... Okay, let's...
I think so, but again, it depends what link he's sending and why it's being filtered.
It's too much skin.
Holy mackerel. Has people seen an image that I haven't seen yet?
Well, no, I mean that's ferrets.
Huh?
Well,
It's still
where's
filtering.
I can't tell how to stop it.
There must be. I don't know if it's necessarily in. Is it in? Yeah, it must be in Twitch itself.
I guess your other option is to drop it in the Discord. If you've got problems here, it's a Google Photos link, but could put on Imgur.
So-
yeah, stick it on Imgur or something.
If you put it on Imgur, make sure you don't navigate away from the page, because you know that once you do that, you can't delete it. But you can if you keep the page.
There you go. I didn't know that. It's news to me.
You post on Imgur without an account, you get like a delete link button thing. But as soon as you close that and try and reopen it at the same link, that's gone. So it's just permanently there.
The notion here is basically this TV's picked up a conversation, says there's this conversation pass file. Well, first things first, the password to your work laptop is temp pass for intern123. Change it as soon as you log in, not least because working in the IT department actually gives you all the security key access levels sat on your machine so that you can burn replacement ID cards for staff when they get lost or stop working. Now, the second most important thing of lunch, because error target proximity to mic. So we can download that file and save and exit. And now, when we try and access this intern's laptop, it gives us the opportunity to get in. And that is that. And there we have the ID card files for burning new staff cards. And in we go to the server room. So yeah, that's the kind of the basics really on how off-grid works for folks. Any questions in the chat, I suppose?
We've been told under channel settings on the left bar, moderation and block links. Maybe we can turn this off ourselves. Have we lost Phoenix Firefly after their attribution was heavily implied?
Possibly. I'm not sure whether I can do it midstream, that moderation stuff, to be honest. Chat settings. Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Careful now, this could be an elaborate social engineering attempt
It
to
could be.
link spam. Oh, hang on. It's in the Discord on random memes.
Cool.
Let's see. Is it indeed? Oh yeah, there we go. That is a snake with skeletal parts.
Probably just downloading the image is going to crash the stream for me. Nice. That's beautiful. That's some really nice detail
good,
work
isn't it?
there. Yeah. That's awesome.
And there's a separate shading for the inner and outer for the red, and they've done
Yeah.
that quite well.
Yeah, and then that's the skeleton on the inside. That's cool. Very cool. Thanks for sharing.
So that is pretty good. That's pretty good. I don't know if you realised, but you've got two pretty fans of tattooing. Yeah. So I'm high resing this. And it is good, isn't it?
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, there we go. Oh, right, it's down the left on the
Yep.
dashboard. Okay.
The off corner shading at the top, at the edges of the petals, the slight shading inwards. It's hard to get that right. That's good. Well, congratulations, you've done well there.
Dashboard settings moderation.
Okay, so I need
Create a
facts.
dashboard. Here we go.
How difficult is it to balance intuitive design and authenticity of hacking?
Really hard, because authentic hacking is, well, a lot of it is automating things and writing smart scripts that do a lot of work for you, and then sitting and waiting. Right, Path? I mean...
Yeah. Automate as much as you can. The more you do things manually, the more you have opportunities, and realistically, the more time you spend learning how to make your own things, you understand the fundamentals, then you can build things appropriate to your workflow, because if everybody uses the same tool, essentially what they want out of the tool might require extra steps, right? So building things for your own workflow and what you actually want to get out of it as a data point, the faster you get onto learning how to do that, the easier your life will be. And that still doesn't take away from the sheer amount of time that you still have to spend, because most people who are doing sort of things like regular tests or CTFs, the sheer variance you find on the random thing you might be looking at online, there's no linear path, really. There are processes you can follow to tick the boxes correctly. I'll do this, and I do that, and I do that. But if you've got a specific thing that you've got to get into, and that's configured badly, and you've never dealt with something that's configured badly, you could be there for a while. So I would imagine that taking those time ticks out and simply showing the flow of this would allow you to stay within the realms of realism of the concepts of what you've got to do to get into something, without that sort of stochastic approach that you normally end up taking when you're in, the real world.
I think one of the limitations of making games about hacking is that, ultimately, like, cutting edge hacking is also about kind of thinking entirely outside of the rule set, and design is about defining the rule set very clearly. So, you've got a lot of kind of lateral thinking that goes on in CTFs and the real world CTFs, right? You're doing a lot of kind of trying to piece together bits of memories of how a thing works and how it's been exploited in the past, and whether a thing that works in a certain way might be similar to this other thing that does a similar thing but differently. And that's pretty hard to replicate in a game where you want someone to know what they're doing relatively consistently throughout their experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same with Nite Team 4, right? We ended up seeing the same thing there, where there is a model approach to how you would get in, and you remember this thing allows you to do that, but then this tool allows you to do that. And but you still have an approach. Well, the first stage you've got to do is work out where you might be. So you have to do some form of recon. Then you have to work out the assets and work out how to target them. At the very end, you've got something called your objective and the action you have to perform to complete your objective. So this is sort of a chopped down version of something. There are lots of different frameworks to talk about this, but the popular one was produced by Lockheed Martin, and it's called the Cyber Kill Chain. And this is what people use in the industry. And this was something they put in which says, these are the stages from start to finish, and it was to model how malware is delivered. So you've got all the way from recon to the actual action of doing whatever it was, so stealing some credentials or whatever, and the stages in between. So modeling that in the game means you're staying pretty true to life. You've got to do these parts before you can get to doing those parts.
Yep.
And so that's what Nite Team 4 and this lets you do. First, you have to find out where you are. Then you have to sort of rationalize the assets and prioritize what you would target, especially based on knowledge. However, the secret to all of this is that the closer you get to the actual fundamentals, have we just jumped off?
I think the stream's still on.
Oh, it must be me. The closer you are to the fundamentals underpinning everything, the easier it is, because if you start at the top and you have to learn, well, this exploit for this or that tool for that, you have to learn all of these things. And if you know all the fundamentals upon which these things are built, you actually don't have to do a lot of that niche memory recollection work, because you understand how all of it fits together at a much lower level. And most people don't do that. So that's what I would recommend people doing, if they can.
I've seen a couple of other questions fly across. Ferret says, on the AI, is it still the same as a year or two ago? The AI has actually evolved quite a lot in the last couple of years. One of the things that we've done is made it all data-driven. So it's still Go app based, but all of the goals and actions are defined in Lua and can be written and modded and elaborated on by players interested on writing AI. So yeah, it's evolved, certainly. It's still based on goal-oriented action planning, and that works well for mechanics. So for anyone else who's in the chat, I Need Ferrets is actually an AI specialist, PhD in games AI. So they know a lot more than I do, really, about this kind of thing. We just took a model that works for the mechanics we have. So with it, you need to be able to slot in new actions and new goals on the fly, and the characters be able to dynamically react to them and behave differently. And so goal-oriented action planning works well for us. So yeah, that's the thing. Oh, we're going to be caught now. There we go. So yeah. So I think that's a good point to probably switch out of off-grid anyway. We can just close that down.
Cheshire says, if people want to do real hacking.
I think that's a good point. I've always felt a little bit that way. Certainly around, spinning up an ISO and just prodding something with a few of the tools that you even kind of touch on in something like Nite Team 4. I think there's a lot to be said by kind of going and playing with Hack the Box, or back in the day, it was Hack This Site. Although there's much more advanced versions of that nowadays around the internet. But yeah, I mean, do you have a slightly different take on that path?
No, not really. Don't try and go into it with the mindset that you're learning to hack things. Just, if you're interested in how something works, build the environment, as Richard said. And I'll tell you that about a third of my job at the minute is investigating new vulnerabilities and exploits. And the vast majority of the time of that is having to build up the environments the way they're supposed to be for that vulnerability to work. that's a hell of a lot more work normally than trying to test the vulnerability. Because if someone says, well, we need to test whether this thing works, and it was a specific thing from a few years ago, you can't just install that thing. For example, it has to be the relative correct age version of PHP in the relative correct version age of Debian. And you have to build all this stuff like the back of your hand to be able to get to the point where you're testing the vulnerability under the conditions it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to do that if you want to actually be serious when you're talking about security research and vulnerability research. All of this stuff that I drop things down again. People usually think it's kind of a boring thing. I'll learn how to build an OS and put it together or whatever. Actually, if you want to be properly useful, someone should be able to tell you, almost like some kind of DevOps script, I need you to be able to do this stack, put it together to test it this way. And you've got to be able to fluidly go into, to the point where they'll turn around and go, right, today you're dealing with PHP. Yesterday you had some rubbish Java thing. And then tomorrow you've got some piece of malware to look at. So the infrastructure stuff and the fundamental knowledge, you cannot do this work without having that. So that's where you should aim for if you want to do the cool hacking bits, because everybody can learn to use tools. If you really want to play the game, you've got to get into the really low level. So approach it as if you're learning how to do those bits first and look around. And you'll find things that people usually aren't looking for. That's how you really get into the fun.
I think, like, pulling it back to how games mimic that or don't mimic that. Like, well, Chesh puts it really nicely there. Like, continuing on from, if people want to do real hacking, they do real hacking. And so the second part he says to that is, so you're sort of making a suitable abstraction to the level the player wants. And that's exactly right. And that's kind of, off-grid pitches to a slightly different level of abstraction to Nite Team 4. People who are Nite Team 4 players want slightly less abstraction and more of the kind of prodding and pernickety stuff that a desktop style simulation environment gives. With off-grid, we've specifically limited it to, it can be played on an Xbox controller, and it can be played or seen in third person. And so immediately you abstract that experience quite a significant step further than anything that's a desktop environment. So you are kind of, for entertainment's value, you're abstracting the hacking further, but then you're kind of lacing it with real life references and truisms in order to still give it the real feeling or sense of authenticity, I suppose. Yeah. We got any other questions in there? Or should we look to wrap up? I think we're all right there. I think that probably covers it all. Thanks to everyone for tuning in and chatting with us. It's always great having this many people in the chat, asking questions, having a bit of banter, making funny jokes. It really makes for the stream. So thanks to all of you for tuning in and hanging out with us. We'll be back in. So usually we stream every 2 weeks, but I will be traveling next Thursday, and the Thursday after next, which is when the next dev stream would be due. We may well end up skipping a week, so the next dev stream will probably be in 3 weeks' time. In the meantime, I think Path, you and we might try and get the bot set up and onto the Discord, so we could set people that new challenge to win a Nite Team 4 key.
That's right. 3 weeks is a long time. I'm sure we can put some things together.
Yeah. So we'll try and get that done as well. So yeah, thanks very much. Hope you all enjoyed the stream. Do jump in the Discord and give us any sort of tips or hints as to what you'd like to see more of on the stream, like I'm really enjoying playing a bit of Nite Team 4 regularly. I feel like it gives us a real launch pad for talking more about both the sort of technicals of hacking and hacker culture. So I'm planning on continuing to tie in more Nite Team 4. If you folks are bored of us playing Nite Team 4 regularly, then please let me know. If you're loving it and you'd like us to keep going, also please let us know. If you want us to get back to doing more stuff that revolves around the modding tools and how to use tools, you know, and kind of more of the kind of classic off-grid dev stream, let us know. And at some point, Path, we've talked about doing an additional series called Can I Hack, where we go through some of the basics of spinning up a VM with a vulnerable Apache server on it, and what you might need to do to concatenate and grep a load of usernames that you want to push at it, things along those lines.
Actually, we could go on further. I could just post something somewhere, and then we could talk about how we would go about working out what is on this thing.
Yep.
And then people who might have a terminal available to them, we
You
could
can also prod along.
develop. Yeah, well, we could develop a working exploit to hit this thing, and then why POC when you can weaponize. We can talk about how to start making little mini frameworks for yourself.
Yep.
So we could do. It would be an exploit dev stream instead.
Yep.
However, we have to be careful because YouTube's been funny about what it can and can't show and how you might be able to use it. So we'll have to use the word educational a lot, and not do anything that could otherwise be used to smash around the world, maybe. But I'm sure we can do something along those lines.
Yeah, cool.
I mean, it's
sounds
my
like
server.
a couple of people are saying that they hadn't heard of Nite Team before and that they're really interested, intend on picking it up now. So that's great, fantastic. You've been enjoying that stuff. Cool. All right. I'm hopeful that we'll see you all in one of the next streams. Please do